Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 140. We are back. Well, kind of. I am back. My name is Paul. And with me this week is Hank?
Hello.
Hey. So, a lot of people right now are like, where the fuck is Nathan? That's a good question. I don't know. He's probably at home right now because it's kind of late, so he's probably sleeping. But where is he in regards to the podcast? He is working exact opposite shifts as me now, so we don't even see each other at work anymore. So the likelihood of him being around when, like, him being available when I'm available and vice versa has become so decreased to the point where it's kind of on hiatus, but of course he will still be in our hearts, but more importantly, there's still a backlog of 139 episodes if you want to listen to him. He's not gone forever. Whenever we have a chance to do something, we will. But I thought it would be kind of cool if we just kept doing this weekly thing here, rounding out the media barrel, as it were, and I invited Hank along here. So, welcome aboard.
Yo.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take some time until we're kind of comfortable doing this. I mean, I haven't done this for a while myself. I just have the fortunate nature of doing this every week, so I'm just kind of used to talking into a microphone, I suppose. Rest in peace, Nathan.
Experience.
Lest we forget. Exactly. Rest in peace. Rip Norris. Fuck Mario. God damn it.
Rip Norris. That's amazing. That's great.
So the problem I'm having here is that I haven't done a whole lot this last week, or even the following weeks up to right now from the last time I did this with Nathan. So I have like 2 things I can talk about a little bit, but you sure have a whole whack of stuff here that we can probably get to. I mean, I'm in no rush myself. But
Yeah.
I'm going to start off by talking about John Wick, I think. I want to talk a little bit about this because that movie is fantastic in a way that I was not expecting, and I loved kind of every minute of it. It really goes for how dumb it is, like, but I don't know, like it's weird because it feels self-serious, but I don't think it is in a lot of ways as well, if that makes any sense at all, because he's like, what is he, like a contract killer basically for the mob who goes out of the business or whatever, and then comes back when his dog is killed and he gets really mad and it becomes a revenge film sort of thing. But I think I like the choreography of just like the gun fu style of the whole movie, and he kills a lot of people. Like, he kills a lot of fucking people.
Kills a lot of people.
He shoots them right in their fucking head. Like,
really good violence. Really good.
It is really good in a way that, like, The Matrix was bouncing off walls and like shooting with machine guns and then slowing down and blah blah blah. This is very gritty, like pushing a dude like into a wall or like tripping him and then shooting him in the head while he's down. Like, it's kind of gross in a way.
Brutally murdering lots of people and like quickly just taking a person down and then moving on to the next person because there's so many people for him to kill.
And execution style too. He triple taps so many people, just like bam bam and then once in the head to finish it. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's really well done. I love that movie.
Also, that hotel, like, for organized gangsters in that movie is just a really cool idea. Like, it does a lot of good world building without taking a lot of time to do it.
Yeah, the Continental or whatever. I do like it too, and how there's, I mean, it almost gets into spoiler territory, so I'm not going to say it specifically, but when somebody does break the rules, the way they're taken care of, like, around the end is just so badass for some reason.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. Like, the number of people that die in that movie, it feels comparable to the number of people that die in Payday, in like a Payday level if you're going heavy. It's like, it's that many people. So I felt like it made that thing work okay in my head. That he's in Payday 2, as dumb as that is.
I mean, it is really dumb, and the way they introduced him is kind of dumb, but it's it's totally fine because in that movie he is friends with like that whole underworld, so of course he would probably be friends with somebody from the Payday universe. Like just in passing, they probably talk to each other at some point or whatever. Another thing I really like about that movie is that pretty much right away you get the feeling that he is probably a badass, and then he does some badass stuff. But there's this undertone that every character has in the movie where they're just like, we don't want to fuck with this guy. That kind of builds him up to be the boogeyman before you even see anything. And then even after he kills 12 dudes in his house after they break in trying to kill him because they know that like this dude's probably going to go on a rampage or something. There's one scene in particular where the cop just comes. He's just like, Jimmy, you working tonight? Nah, just cleaning up some loose ends or something. He's like, all right. And then he just like leaves.
It seems so good.
Yeah. Or
so that guy is so terrified.
Or when he goes to the like club or whatever, it's just like, why don't you take the night off? And the dude's just like, thank you, sir. And he leaves because he's like, I'm not doing this. Like, you don't pay me enough to take on like the god of guns, basically. But yeah, I don't know, that the whole tone of that movie, even the mob boss who is kind of trying to kill him, has a certain profound respect and terrifying just like fear for this man, that it's like he doesn't want to kill him because he betrayed him. He wants to kill him because he feels like this is probably the only way he can save himself is to maybe get to him first. But yeah, I don't know. That movie is good in a way I wasn't expecting it to be, so I was really stoked about that.
Yeah, and it's like scenes like with like the cop that are like genuinely funny. It's like the movie's not like totally self-serious all the time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. There's a nice little balance there of like there is a self-serious amount of bullshit going on in there, but it's balanced pretty nicely with everybody realizing almost that they're in a movie and this guy's a god, sort of. So let's gonna step back a little bit. Other than that, I've been playing Heroes of the Storm, and I didn't really talk about this much on TDP. I feel like we could probably talk a little bit more because I've played more of it actually since I did mention it in brief on TDP, and I think that is probably my favorite MOBA now because I don't have to think at all to play it, and that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to think. Depends what you're doing.
It's a different type of thought process.
It's so different, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's much more casual. There's way less like stress of if I fuck up, everything is ruined for all these people. Like you don't really have to worry about it that way, the way you do with a MOBA.
It still has that weird effect though, where like if another person fucks up, you get mad because it's like if we just had that one dude with us, like we probably could have turned that team fight. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's like in another MOBA, it's like if 3 of you go into a team fight against 5, you look like the idiots because you were biting off more than you could chew or something. And the one dude who was laning and just like making sure that he has carry potential by the end, he's the one that's like, no, like this is what you're supposed to do. In this, it's kind of the opposite, where it's like if you see a group forming up of your other team members, you better be there because it doesn't matter what they're gonna do. Just the fact that you're all together will probably benefit like the whole team eventually.
Yeah, it leads to a weird thing where like I kind of hate people who play it wrong more than I hate people who play like Dota wrong. Like, and it's because. But it's because they know enough to know how to play a MOBA, but they're doing this thing wrong. Because this is a different thing. You have to play it almost the opposite way. And to see them just play it the way you would play a MOBA, it just really pisses me off. When I'm playing by myself, in particular.
I have to admit, when I first played it ever, I tried to get last hits because it's just the way you were kind of raised playing those, but. Like, it doesn't really matter. As long as there's one person in each lane for a little bit, getting the experience from the creeps dying, you all benefit, and then you can group up. Like, you don't have to get last hits or do any of that stuff, and you can... The game allows for roaming in a way that the other games don't, to the point where you have mounts. I mean, they expect you to be together and to run around the map a lot, which is kind of refreshing, because... like for people that don't play MOBAs, there's usually a large portion of the early game called the laning stage where you are essentially just in one lane for maybe up to 10 minutes just getting like creep score or whatever. And it can kind of get dull depending on what hero you're trying to do it with. But this is more like, no, I'm going to roam around and there's Jaina, let's fuck her up. And then you all just like converge on this one poor soul who's trying to play that like a MOBA and they get destroyed and then you all go your separate ways for a bit again. I don't know. It's fun. There's an energy to it I enjoy.
Yeah. Like the other slight frustration when you're playing by yourself or not with a full group at least is because you have to pick your hero first.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get really brutal team compositions in a way you like that. If I play Dota, I usually try and pick to like fill in gaps in my team that you can't make up for other people in the same way.
Yeah. And the fact that you don't know what map you're going to be playing on is kind of a little irritating too. It's not as bad as solo queuing into a group of all supports, say, like we kind of did last night.
That happened.
That was really bad.
That did happen.
That was real bad.
Stupid.
I didn't have fun doing that at all. I was so mad. I was mad because I was a support too. Like, the thing is, if they had given us 10 seconds after forming the party, I could have switched to an assassin or something after I saw we had 2 supports. Like, but I don't know. Maybe they'll fix that eventually, or maybe that's Blizzard's part of the fun idea. Also, punting Diablo is still one of the greatest things I have ever seen in a video game. It's just stupid.
It's really good.
Punting
like
siege
I wish
tanks too.
Yeah, punching siege tank in siege mode is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I wish there were a little bit more of that dumb stuff in there. Like some of the maps don't have those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been having a lot of fun playing it though. Like it's just a good time, and if you've got a group, you're playing kind of a MOBA, but it goes much quicker and it's much less stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. And like it's perfect for the sort of thing where like, say you've been at school all day or whatever, and I come home from work or whatever, we'll just play like 5 rounds or something, because each round can be anywhere between 10 to 25 minutes at the most. So just a little bit of casual fun, as opposed to Dota's like, okay, let's hope we find some good people. Let's hope there isn't just like a meepo or something. Like, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things where you're just kind of like, where team composition means so much more in a way in Dota than it does in Heroes of the Storm for the fun factor, unless you get 3 supports and then you just have kind of a bad time. But the best thing you can say is that you have 10 minutes of a bad time as opposed to an hour of it. So there's that.
I mean, I feel like some of the fun also is just it's a different game. Like I've played so much Dota, just playing something else that's also fun, but doesn't have this like really intimidating knowledge ceiling, like most of the other MOBAs that have come out. Like I feel pretty okay just playing Heroes of the Storm without knowing every hero inside and out. And I've already gotten a pretty good grasp from the amount I've played.
Yeah,
but it doesn't, like, I'm not worried about that same stuff.
Also, it has that Blizzard polish and flair. Like the skins,
yes,
the heroes.
That Blizzard polish is a thing. Also, just those characters I all recognize.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it would even be as good if it wasn't like Diablo teaming up with Kerrigan to take down Arthas or something. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't characters that I grew up loving or like still love just so much and have backstory with all these different characters thrown together in this stupid Smash Bros. Like MOBA, would it be the same? And I think it probably wouldn't at all.
No.
It wouldn't be the same at all. So it's just the fact that it's Blizzard Smash Bros. That Blizzard Dota. That's what half of the fun for me. But I still think that if somebody was like, yo, I want to learn a MOBA, you don't start with this one. Like, go to Dota.
No.
Get your teeth cut on some, like, real mechanic stuff. And if you're just like, I don't really like MOBAs, but I want to have fun, this is the game for that.
Yeah. I feel like you don't I don't know. It's weird with Dotas because I feel like if you're gonna play video games on the internet with other people, you need to learn to like be able to deal with assholes and idiots who don't know what they're doing. Like you just
Mhm.
have to if you can't deal with that, you probably just shouldn't be playing games on the internet with random people. Like
Yeah.
you have to have thick skin to be able to do it. As much fun as I think it is, like I've learned to deal with it.
Yeah.
So like just jumping right into a MOBA and getting called an idiot or a faggot over and over again, like
It happens.
it's a thing. I think people should do it. They should like go through that misery because it's when you come out on the other side, you can deal with shit better.
Yeah, for sure. It also makes doing anything on the internet better because, like, you can say something on Twitter to, like, an e-celeb or something, and then somebody else will read what you said and just call you a faggot. Like, the internet is just that way. So, if you're just. I grew up in the Quake days, so it's like every time you fragged somebody, you got called every name they could think of because they were so salty about it. So, it's like MOBAs is basically just what first person deathmatch shooting was back then again. So it's fine. It's whatever.
It's also like not nearly as bad as playing Dota 1 was in Warcraft 3, where people would just leave games and ugh, like that could be a nightmare because you're just playing with random people,
Hmm.
like without matchmaking even or any kind of policing.
Was there any punishment system for leaving a game in Dota
Nope,
1? No, because it
just
was
the
a
game.
mod. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a map. It was just a custom map.
Yeah.
So it sucked. Like a lot of the times you would be playing a 4-on-4 usually. Like at least one person would leave a game usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
Also, it was weird when like all random would become the only mode people were playing. Just like, oh, you're not good unless you're playing all random. You
Yeah.
have to know every hero and be able to play all of them, or like you're not good.
And then you get
If you just
Invoker and
play
you're
good
like,
heroes,
fuck. I'm a bad
don't
Invoker.
don't have all those spells memorized. I don't really want to memorize all those
That's
spells.
the problem. Like, I know that if you just want to do some damage, you go the fire orby thingy in the early game and look around the map a lot to see if you can, like, do that flame strike thing. But other than that, like, I I don't know, meteor's a thing. Like,
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of
he
spells.
has a lot of things he can do, but like having them, it's that you have to queue up which of your three orbs are going to be of which type, and
Yep.
then you have to type in the spell because you can only hold like two at a time,
Yep.
and some of them are like damage, and some of them are situational escapes.
Hmm.
There's so many options with that one character. It's kind of ridiculous.
Some of them are
Like it's
microwing.
cool.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. Like, I can't play an invoker worth anything at all, but I am always entranced when I see a good invoker like on YouTube or something. You're just like, this is the most amazing character in this video game. All the dumb shit they can do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Just like throw a guy
But
up in
the
the air, call down meteor, call down the like flame strike thing, then like deafening blast, freeze them, and just chase them down. It's stupid. It's so fucking broken what you can do if you're good with them.
Yeah, but even if you're really good with him, he's like a mid game. He's like really good at the mid game. Like he doesn't carry into late game particularly well because I
Hmm.
having played with ones that were really I've had played with a couple really good invokers.
Yeah.
He doesn't like so it's kind of annoying when your invoker is like really doing good, but your carry sucks, and he's
Mm.
just so bitter because he's like he knows that there's like a timer on how long he can be effective before we're gonna lose.
Pretty much. And then like bounty hunter comes up with the what the hell is that called? The I can't remember the item that just like penetrates armor and does a shitload of damage. Just like comes up when he's building, he has that build. He just comes up and like one shots invoker. By the end, he's no
Yeah.
longer an issue. I don't know. That's a lot of MOBA talk for people that probably don't talk or like MOBAs. So, but that's kind of all I've been doing. So we should move on to your book worth of stuff here. I'll let you choose what you want to talk about. So,
All right, I want to start with video games.
okay,
I'll start with video games.
okay,
So this week, Nintendo put out. They finally brought back the Donkey Kong Country games to Virtual Console because they've been gone for like 2 years.
why? Do we know?
Nope.
Okay,
I was assuming there was sort of an assumption they were gonna do like what they did with the Super Mario All Stars thing for Wii or the Kirby one. Like they would come out with a disc version of it. Like
okay,
it was sort of assumed that they were gonna do that kind of thing, but no, they just put them on Virtual Console. But they put out a sale when they did it, and they also put out the Donkey Kong Land games on 3DS.
okay.
So if you bought a Donkey Kong Land, you can get Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D for 30% off. If you got one of the Donkey Kong Country games on Wii U, you could get Tropical Freeze digitally for 30% off. I already own Tropical Freeze, and I have the carts for the Donkey Kong Country games. But I don't own the Donkey Kong Land games, but I played it as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wanted to revisit that. Because the thing about Donkey Kong Land is they just shoved the sprites from Donkey Kong Country onto a Game Boy.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. Also, like, cluttered and bad, but it's just sort of a marvel.
Is it is the frame rate really bad? Because I feel like it would be.
It's not like the frame rate's bad. It's just like the number of animation frames in your characters just aren't that great.
That's how they made up for it then. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Your screen is kind of too small for that roll move. Because you need like space for that roll. You can't see what's coming a lot of the time. Like levels are not well designed. And in the first game in particular, they didn't bother thinking about the fact that now this is black and white or black and green, so you can't distinguish things clearly. Mm-hmm. So it's really cluttered, and it's easy to miss stuff. In the second game, they just took out all the backgrounds, I think.
Oh, wow.
And then in Donkey Kong 3, they did it a little better from what I've read. Mm-hmm. But I picked up Donkey Kong Land 1 because I think that's the one I played it as a kid. I wanted that nostalgia.
How does it
Because that's
hold
a
up?
game. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's like that's a game that's like a fever dream. Like I imagined this thing existed. I feel like it's still weird to me that they put those. It's the exact sprites from the country games on the Game Boy.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it came out the first one came out like a year after Donkey Kong Country.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they were riding that hype train, I guess, for Donkey Kong, so why not? I don't know. Nintendo does that though, like back in the day especially, where it's just like, let's just throw this on Game Boy, and you're like, this is so bad. Why did you do this? But it's kind of the charm.
Sort of, yeah, it's just also weird to me because like the country games at the time were supposed to be like, oh, look at how amazing this 3D rendering technology is for these graphics. And they're like, yeah, we'll just shove it on a Game Boy. That's what those games are needed, right? Just black and white, garbage looking.
See, the thing to me is when I think of the Donkey Kong Country games, I'm not a huge fan of them to begin with, but I've always loved the environments and the levels, just how it looked. So taking away that core aspect of what I loved from those games and putting it into like a sepia and black fucking little tiny shit screen seems like the worst. It just seems so bad.
Well, I really like the roll mechanic from the country games. Like, I just think that's fun. It doesn't really work on the Game Boy because of the limited space. Mm-hmm. But it's like I played a lot of Battletoads on Game Boy as a kid. The Battletoads in Ragnarok's World, that was literally just the NES game shoved onto a Game Boy, where you had limited. You could see even less than you could in the NES version. It was even more. It was kind of harder, except they took out a lot of levels too. That was a thing. But also with the Donkey Kong Country games, I always loved like the atmosphere and the music too.
Sure.
Like, I just like that stuff.
Yeah, but that would have been worse on the Game Boy, right? Like the music and stuff.
I mean, it's coming out of a shittier speaker, but they just took the same songs. Like I think it's a song from Donkey Kong Country 2 that's in Land that I kept hearing.
Oh.
Like one of those pirate themes.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool if they could like replicate it pretty good then. That's pretty decent.
It's just like a weird thing. Like it's weird that this thing exists.
Yeah.
So since I also got Donkey Kong Country Returns on 3DS, I ended up playing more of that because that's a really good game and actually one of my favorite platformers. And it's because the one problem the original Donkey Kong Country Returns had was it was on the Wii, so they put a bunch of Wii controls into it. To do the roll, you had to shake the Wiimote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a thing you had to deal with.
And the
so
ground
on the
pound,
DS,
right?
And the ground pound.
Yeah.
And blowing on stuff was a thing.
Yeah.
So on the 3DS, that's all a button.
Nice.
And you can even choose your control scheme. You can use the D-pad and hold the button to run, or you use the circle pad, and then you don't have to hold the button to run. You control your speed with the circle pad. So I'm using D-pad because fuck the circle pad for platformers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Is that the one with the spider level that you like?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Like I really like the levels in this game. Like Tropical Freeze obviously plays really good and looks really good, but I don't think the level design is as interesting. And they focused way too much in that game. They basically added water levels and ice levels, which are not the most fun for platforming.
I kind of like the water levels in the first Donkey Kong Country on the SNES at the time, but I don't know if I actually liked playing them or if I just loved the music and the atmosphere, like the environment.
The music and the atmosphere is really good. They're kind of a pain until you get On Guard. If you have On Guard, they're kind of fun.
They're so good.
So Tropical Freeze does a really smart thing where you can do like a twist attack forward and you can attack stuff underwater.
Okay.
So that makes it playable and fun, but it's still a little slower and it's not quite as good. There are some really great levels in there, like the last couple are really good, but overall I like the levels in the original Returns a lot more.
Okay. Cool.
So the other Nintendo platform I've been playing is Super Mario 3D World.
I actually liked that one, so
I wasn't feeling it quite at first. I really love 3D Land. Like I 100%ed that game.
That's the one I'm probably thinking of. World is the Wii
3DS
U one, right?
Yeah, Wii U one is the World.
Okay, because I liked Land. That's the one I played.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I really like Land. I 100%ed that game. I did everything in it. But so 3D World, because where it's basically when you're starting out, it's A, I'm doing like easy levels, and B, the levels are wider to accommodate because you can play it with 4 people. So that sort of like that amount of openness was harshing my buzz on it a little when I was first playing it. But then a friend came over and we played most of it co-op in a couple sessions. That was a lot of fun. That game is really good with 2 people. I could see how it could get crowded when you got up to 4, 3 could probably work. But with 2 people, it's been a lot of fun running through that game. It's been a good co-op game.
Cool.
It's mostly just that. So let's just talk about this briefly. I played Fibbage the other night. Solar invited me into a game that we played it. So someone had it streaming on
their
Hitbox.
PS3 or whatever, probably. Oh, I'm sorry. Like streaming. You're saying the streaming site. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They streamed it to Hitbox so that we could actually. And there's like no delay, so we could see it, and then had shitty audio coming through the call because they wanted to record the VOD. But whatever.
Who was it? Somebody that you know, or
it was? I think Chaos was streaming it. It was Solar from the Lurkers group.
Yeah.
For TDP, the community. So he just invited a bunch of people. There were like 6 of us or something. I don't remember everyone who was there.
Cool.
So we played a couple of games of that. That game doesn't have enough questions.
Oh, really?
Like, I mean, it's really my first time playing it, but I've watched it played.
Oh,
But there were like questions that came up on John's stream, like the last time he streamed that game. So like you have like 6 people knew the answer because they'd seen it.
oh man.
In like we played like 4 games and that happened a couple times.
Aren't you guys kind of ruining the fun for yourself then, though? Because you've seen it before without playing it. You know what I mean?
But it's a trivia game. Like if you played it one time, you've kind of it's like it doesn't hold up to multiple times, and it doesn't have the thing with Jackbox where you say, or with you don't know Jack, where I've played this, I've seen this episode, I know these questions. It does random questions, so you don't know what you're gonna get.
Oh, okay. That's kind of weird because they do. I mean, those people know how to do trivia games to the point where they have like the Jack, you don't know Jack episodes, like 90 of them, because they don't want repeat questions. So it seems kind of weird that they would there'd be that oversight there.
Yeah, I mean it's probably a really hard task. There's probably a lot of questions in that one, but this isn't even like the one in Jackbox where they added questions from the original Fibbage. It's like it's kind of an issue. There were a bunch of questions people had seen.
That's kind of too bad.
But that game's fun otherwise though.
I still haven't played it. I still haven't even seen it. Like I saw a screenshot and like I watched somebody play one question of it in a YouTube video to see what it was like. I still haven't seen anything else. So one day maybe I'll play it if I ever find some friends.
If you ever find some friends.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just briefly, I've been playing Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is the greatest game ever created by man.
That was your favorite game of last year, right?
No, that was the game I never got to play last year.
Oh.
It was in my honorable mentions because I was like, and it's just me gushing over, why did I play this? Why didn't I realize this existed sooner?
It looks fun.
I mean, it's Tetris and Puyo Puyo at the same time, and you have Japanese characters yelling Japanese stuff, or sometimes there's one character who just says, I love it, when you do a move.
That's so good. Oh, man.
It's so much fun. Like, just the personality in that game. Because I'd been just kind of looking for a Tetris game for a while, like a Tetris game with some personality, and then Puyo Puyo's cool.
Where
I
did you
like
pick
Dr.
it up from?
Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Play Asia.
Okay.
I ordered it from.
Okay. Cool. And that's on Vita?
I got it. Yeah, I got it for the Vita because the Vita is region free. And I think the only other region free systems it's on, there's the PS4 and the Xbox One, which I don't have either of.
Sure. Also, the Vita's the best system in the world. So.
I mean, it's really good at playing PlayStation 1 games.
I want a Vita just for that and the game where you jerk it off to make girls undress. That is why I want a Vita. So.
Okay.
What other system do you do in that motion? Like
iPhone. I think there are iPhone games that you can do that.
You know what? You're probably right. Actually. Yeah.
Anything with a touch screen.
I don't know. I do want a Vita, and if I get a Vita, I will have to eventually pick up probably Puyo Puyo Tetris because it looked real fun from the little bit I saw of it.
Its story mode has a lot of story, and I can't understand any of it. And I want to, but I can't. Like, there are anime girls talking about stuff, and then suddenly it starts raining Tetris pieces on them, and they're like, what?
I don't think you're missing out on anything. The people that actually wrote it probably don't know what the story is either, so.
There's like Tetris dudes in spaceships.
Okay.
Apparently the Puyo Puyo games that they haven't been bringing over here have had anime characters in them for a while. Like, this is a standard thing in the Puyo Puyo games that Sega's been making.
Oh, okay. That's kind of why I want to learn Japanese too. So the real reason I want to learn Japanese and have started taking I haven't started the courses yet, but I have signed up and registered to start learning the language is because of police knots. So one day I will be able to read police knots, and by that time it will be remastered into English, I guarantee you, and it will be available for everyone else, but I will still have the original. And
Gotta get that original voice acting.
Yeah, and I can tell you what the story for Puyo Puyo Tetris is once I learn it, and you'll be disappointed, I'm sure. It's probably better not knowing.
Like, if they had actually localized this game and all these voices were dubbed over, it wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't be as good as hearing the fish guy go, Tetris!
Yeah, fair enough.
So I've been playing a lot of, I've been playing off and on Punch-Out for the Wii since they put it out for the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
I love that game. That game is what I want from video games, which is like action puzzle design.
What is your history with the Punch-Out series?
I'd never played any of them before. I really liked the presentation from the Wii Punch-Out one as soon as I saw it, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that. All the character that they added to that one like made it stand out from what I've seen of the other Punch-Out games. Like, I feel like
less
I should play the other
racism too.
games.
Maybe a little bit, or they lean into it enough that it's like satire. It's no longer racism.
It's like this is silly. It's still pretty racist.
Yeah, of course it is.
Honestly,
that's why I do love those games. I still haven't played that one at all, but I love the Punch-Out series because it is puzzle fighting. Like, not in the way that Puzzle Fighter is, obviously. It is a puzzle game, and you have to figure out what they're going to do, how to dodge it, and then how to strike back, sort of thing, for efficiency. It's real good how they do that.
Yeah, it's great. And it's great how... I really like how they do... Like, first you have the normal mode, and then you have title defense, where all the characters come back, and their like big weakness is gone. But if you figured out like the special way to beat them, that's kind of the way that's easier to beat them now too. Still,
the speedrunning community for that series is amazing too. They're so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sallard. I mean, yeah, it's really speedrunning. The more I appreciate it, it's like games that have specific design that like are requiring you to do specific things, so that once you can do them, you can do them.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, like the way Carcinogen, who speedruns Resident Evil, he puts it as it's good scenario design. I really like that phrasing.
Scenario design, yeah. Like, I think what makes a fun speedrun game is when there's point A and point B, right? And there's the obvious linear path that, say, goes around a maze, but there's also trapdoors between every wall in the maze, so you can actually just go right from point A to point B. Those are the games that are fun, and that's what the Punch-Out games are, where it's like, you can fight them, you can dodge all their attacks and stuff, and like pick away at them, but they have this one frame window that if you hit them in the right spot when they're doing the right animation, they will go down instantly. And the people that figure that timing out and can do it every time for like the speedrun records and stuff, it's just an amazing sight to see people run through those games. It's really fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So NBA 2K15.
This is all you. I have no idea.
I like the NBA 2K games. They're basically the best basketball games I've ever played. The key is
what about Jam?
That they put. I like it. I like them better than Jam.
NBA Jam is better. It's just better. It's so good. You play it with friends. It's barely a basketball game. It's so good.
Well, what I like about the 2K games is just that they put shooting onto like the right stick.
Mm-hmm.
So that feel of pulling back and jumping up and shooting just feels much better than just pushing a button and holding it. It's like that change makes a huge difference.
Like what they did with the NHL games.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, okay. You're right, actually. See, I always found it clunky, kind of. Like, I never liked how the stick control felt in the NHL games. I could see that feeling really satisfying, like, doing jump shots and stuff like that. I could see that, actually. So.
And it fits better for where basketball is right now, where it's way more about threes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a game about shooting as opposed to a game about dunking, really. They made shooting fun. It like dunking is not as satisfying as jam. It's like not about that in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But it made shooting threes like a lot of fun. And I got really good at it because I've played it for a long time, so I can just and it's a thing I can jump onto an online game, play someone, and it's just fun and I don't have to take it seriously.
It's the Heroes of the Storm of sports games.
But I can do it by myself. It's like
Okay, fair enough.
or when I have a friend who plays it against me. And this is the first one of these games where they like last year they didn't get the graphics up to the on par with like the PS4, the Xbox One version. They like put the older version. This year they put the newer version. It was broken for a long ass time, which is why I hadn't played it till recently when they put it on sale. Like at launch it was totally busted. Like horribly. Like all the online stuff was broken. It was bad.
It was free for a weekend there, too.
Yes, that's when I bought it because it was on sale during that weekend.
Oh, okay.
And the last video game is Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the Wii.
Oh, we don't have to talk about that. Let's move on. It's a garbage game for garbage people. No, I'm just kidding. What do you think of it?
There's so much they could streamline in that game, and it would be more fun. I don't like how you have to press A on an object over and over again. Like, why? Why? Why does that happen? It plays so much better than on 3DS, though. Like, it's so much better than playing it on a 3DS. Like, in every way.
3 specifically, right? Because you haven't tried 4 on a 3DS?
No, I have. I played the demo.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. I thought...
Yeah, I've played the demo for 4 on 3DS, too. And
Okay.
I hated it. I hated the controls. I hated that I couldn't control the camera. Like, that bothers me. Like, playing a 3D game on a handheld where I can't... In a 3D space where I want to be able to control the camera, but it's not... Like, you can, because you can use the D-pad to control the camera in the 3D... In 4, but it's a pain. You can't do it while playing.
What about if you had
I don't
that
like
other stick, though, on the new 3DS XL?
Like, I think if you had the other stick, you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like, it would just be uncomfortable.
I kind of agree.
I like
but
having an
I find
actual controller.
I find all mobile gaming kind of uncomfortable. Some games are okay to be uncomfortable in because you're only playing it for 15 minutes at a time or whatever, so it's whatever. But the thing with Monster Hunter that I found playing my little bit that I've played of the same one here, the Ultimate, 3 Ultimate, it is really, really addictive. Like, I really like how that game controls mechanically, but at the same time, I'm never really itching myself. Like, I'm not itching to play it. If it's on the TV, say, and I can just pick up a controller and just start playing, I will probably play quite a bit of it. But I'm never have the drive to, like, go pick up that disc and put it in, and I don't have that drive for it, really. That's kind of where I'm at with that series, but I'm thinking of picking up 4 on the 3DS because I want a new XL for Xenoblade. Like, it's just going to happen. I just don't know if it's going to be this week or next week. And I want to give it a fair shake. Like, I want to be able to talk more eloquent. I want to talk about everything, like, with experience, kind of. So, I don't know anybody here, really, that owns Monster Hunter 4, so I'll probably just pick it up myself and try it out and report back. But I would be hard... Like, it would be hard for me to say that I think it'll be nearly as good as playing it on the Wii U, the 3 Ultimate on the Wii U. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I only did the tutorial stuff so that I could at some point play online with people. There's just so much tutorial stuff. I'm like, thanks for just talking at me for a long time. That's great.
It's a
I like
mechanics-heavy
that,
game, though, and that's what I love about it. I love mechanics in video games, and that is very much a Dark Souls meets, like, a boss rush thing, which I can totally get down with. I can totally get behind it. So maybe one day I'll just be able to do
it. Just like I like how Dark Souls just doesn't give a shit and is like just throws you into the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of prefer that than like having a tutorial where I have to kill this bullshit or go find a fucking iron in some mine and then come all the way back.
I think for what they're trying to do, it might be necessary though, because with Monster Hunter, it's focused around hunting like these bigger, like the progression gets bigger and better or whatever. I'm assuming. So you have to kind of get the basics down and then like move up little by little. Whereas Dark Souls is very much a linear RPG where every battle with any fucking enemy is like a boss fight. So that's why they're able to throw you in, because if you can kill the first like skeleton that you meet, you will be able to use that set of skills, which doesn't change for the whole game. The only thing that changes is how much damage you do or how much you can like take for damage or whatever. Like, you just upgrade. Mm-hmm. The mechanics don't change at all. Whereas I think in Monster Hunter, they probably do, depending on what you have to fight eventually. I'm not sure, though, because I haven't played enough of it.
Well, I mean, I like in the demo for 4, they just actually throw you in and you say, go hunt a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just throw you in that way. Although I didn't like that they gave you cat companions that kept meowing constantly.
Oh, see, I want that. I want that because I am obsessed with cats. They're my favorite.
It was the sound. They never stopped meowing. I couldn't stop it. It's too much. It's too much.
Meow of the dead.
That was too much.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think that's it for video games for me.
All right, cool.
So let's talk about a shitty movie. Outland.
You mean Jupiter Ascending? I'm just kidding. Like, all of these movies in your top area here, I haven't seen, so...
Yeah.
But that's probably fine.
It's Outland, starring Sean Connery in space.
Yeah.
It's really boring.
Oh, really? Okay. That's... Yeah. See, the thing for me is that if a movie is bad, it can be great. If it's boring or mediocre, I lose complete interest. So...
Yeah. So the reason I watched it is like one of my favorite movies is the Gary Cooper Western High Noon. Like, I love that movie. And this is sort of been described as High Noon in space, starring Sean Connery. Like, on paper, that sounds great.
Mm. The
thing is, they kind of, if like you compared it to High Noon, they kind of get everything wrong. Like,
really?
So in High Noon, he's getting married. He's about to get married and then he's going to leave town. But then it turns out that the criminal he put away, and he got the whole town to help him put him away, has gotten released and is coming back to town. And he's going to wreak havoc, apparently, when he comes back. So most of the movie is about this tension about Frank Miller coming back to town. That's the name of the criminal. Okay. And then it's about him trying to get people... like round up a posse to fight Frank Miller and his gang when he arrives, and just no one is having it. Everyone's scared, or nobody will stand with him. Outland sort of has that structure, except it doesn't at all.
Okay.
For one thing, Sean Connery is already married with a kid, and he's a newcomer to this mining facility. Like, he's already an outsider, and nobody likes him. Or people will try to be friendly, but he's, like, not friendly. Like, the big problem with this movie, Sean Connery doesn't emote at all throughout this movie. Like, his wife leaves him, and she just leaves, because she doesn't like it at this mining colony, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't tell him. She just gives him a message. And so Sean Connery has to look at this screen and try and be sad, and he doesn't pull it off. Like, he doesn't emote at all at looking at this thing. And then later on, they have him like watch it again, and it feels like, all right, Sean, try again. Try and feel sad this time.
You have a do-over. Do it right.
and he like walks away and starts making coffee while he's like listening to it. Like it's really bad.
Oh man.
It's also really weird. Like his apartment is like covered, like all the walls are like wicker panels. It's just really weird.
It's weird too because Sean Connery's a good actor. So like,
Yeah, he was making good movies in his time.
yeah,
This one is not one of them. He can't act in this movie. He's like a block of wood. It's really weird. But that's what makes it so boring, is that Sean Connery is like not emoting at all. And there's no tension. Like they don't set up anything well. It doesn't make any sense why he's trying to uncover like the illegal operation that's going on. There's like a drug smuggling thing and people have been dying and going crazy because they've been taking this drug. But everyone hates him and doesn't care. But he's like determined to solve it, even though it's destroying his marriage. Like nothing about it makes sense.
huh?
His character's motivation is like they didn't think it out at all. He's just like, nope, I'm gonna do this. Why? I don't know. Fuck it, I'm doing it.
Oh, this was done by Peter Hyams too. I kind of like that dude's movies. Usually,
Like they also clearly spent like a lot of money making a lot of like sets and miniatures. And you can't really see any of it because of how it's shot, all in like close up. Like there's no sense of space or the layout of this place. It's like you really just feel kind of sad at how many talented people and money went into this thing, and it just is boring. It's like nothing.
does that at least look okay? Like the cinematography?
No, it's all shot too close. Like you don't get to see anything.
That okay? That's weird.
It's totally bad.
All right, well,
So that was a movie I watched.
great. That sounds like a great time you had.
I was miserable. You gotta stick with the movie when you're watching it, right?
Like, I would think so, but I mean, I kind of don't care. I've walked out of movies.
I had to know if Sean Connery ever learned how to show sadness. He didn't.
I'm trying to think
In
of
that
like
movie.
other movies where he has to show sadness, and I'm not really sure he's ever done sadness well, now that I'm thinking about it. He always kind of does like a badass role, if nothing else.
He does smugness really well.
He does smug. Well, I mean, he's Scottish. Just like
Yeah.
people that are from Europe are just smug people. That's just how they are.
Also, it was kind of weird how in this space station, like, the guards all had shotguns. Like, that was their weapon of choice. Just regular shotguns.
What? All right. You got your sawed off? Yep. Space movies.
Yeah.
Fucking dumb. I don't know. Like, I have never had any inclination to watch it, and now I have even less. So, there we go.
Yeah, no one should watch Outland. I've read there's a comic book adaptation of it that I remember reading an article about someone really liking, but they also said the movie was terrible in that, so maybe the comic's good.
I doubt
But
it.
that doesn't have Sean Connery. Sean Connery in space. Why was it so boring?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll talk about some of like movies that came out this year that I
Okay.
saw in theaters. Start with Project Almanac.
Okay.
So this movie exists because Chronicle was a hit.
Oh,
made-
really?
It was put out by Platinum Dunes,
Okay.
which is Michael Bay's like thing where it makes shitty horror movies, and I
Yep.
think the Ninja Turtles movie. But
Which
this movie,
is a
this
shitty
movie was
horror
actually,
movie.
yeah, basically. This movie was actually, it was okay. This was fun. Like teenagers that were sort of realistic. Like there's a lot wrong with it. It does so in Chronicle, the camera had a male gaze, which in a movie that made like it would stare at chicks' boobs or whatever, but in a way that made sense because it was like a teenage guy holding it.
Yeah.
But in this movie, the camera's mostly being held by a teenage girl, so when it does that, she clearly hooks up with a guy, so it's weird that the camera. Also, the camera keeps falling down and then looking down her chest. Like that happens a couple times. This movie is sexist in a lot of ways, but other than that, it's basically about time travel, where they find a machine. It's like they find blueprints from the main character's like his dead father had been working on and figured out how to make a time machine.
Okay.
So they go through the process of like trying to build it, like buying batteries, and it keeps blowing up in their face for a while. So, but eventually they figure it out. They go back and like they start changing stuff and like. So it's about like you go back in time to a certain point and then you come back, and then the world's changed based on what you did in the past and how you changed the past. And like I guess your life has just been lived by you, but not you in the meantime, from when you come back.
Huh. Okay.
So like they go to. So like there's a scene where one of the characters had like a report in class and he screwed it up. So he's like, I'm gonna go back in time and I'm gonna nail that report. And then he like goes back, and then the teacher asks different questions. And he's like, "What? No, I didn't memorize that. God damn it! Now I have to do this again." And he walks
That's
in
pretty
again.
great.
And then the teacher asks different questions again. He's like, "Fuck!" And he like throws his bag at the teacher and just does it over and over again till he's memorized everything. Apparently,
So he's
so there's
learned.
gags like that.
Yeah. Like that's a pretty good one. I like that.
Yeah. Like the biggest problem with the movie is by the end, like nothing is accomplished, but like there are like no consequences really for what they do, even after things go bad and they fix it. But it was okay. It wasn't
Okay.
great, but it was okay.
Okay. Cool.
So the next movie I'll talk about, Black Sea, which I actually wrote a review up for the site, which was basically just a submarine heist movie. Starring Jude Law as Grizzled. So if you want some grizzled Jude Law,
How does he
this is
pull
the
that
movie.
off? Is it pretty good?
He's really good at it.
Okay.
He does a really good job. Like he carries the whole movie. Like any of the weaker parts are carried because he sells it really well.
Okay.
Namely, like he feels guilt over not being a better father to his kid, so he kind of takes this young guy onto the ship, like brings him into this heist and like wants to like set him up so that this guy can take care of his kid.
Okay. Cool.
And like it's like a half British, half Russian crew. So there's a bunch of like tension because none of they don't speak the language. And then like the one head guy who's like Russian gets killed at one point. So Jude Law wakes up and it's like the British guys are on one side of the sub and the Russian guys are on the other side of the sub, and it's like sunk, and you're like, what? How are we gonna get out of this?
It's like some
it's about
weird
finding
like, high
Nazi
school
gold.
dance or something.
Yeah, there's good like weird bickering, and it's just fun. It has all the sub tropes. Like it's getting like, there's a battleship above us. We gotta be quiet. We gotta dive.
Well, that's pretty good then.
And-
That sounds fun.
Yep, it was fun. It was a fun movie, and it was good because the last sub movie I saw was awful.
Which one?
Phantom, where Ed Harris and Matthew McConaughey have to play Soviets, and
Oh,
they
really?
just seem totally American, and it's really weird. It's a really bad movie.
Matthew McConaughey has to play a Soviet.
Yes.
That sounds amazing. That sounds so bad.
Except he doesn't. He's just being Matthew McConaughey. It's not Matthew McConaughey. It's not Matthew McConaughey. I was
Okay.
sorry. I was saying the name wrong. David Duchovny.
That's a completely different person.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I could see him being more Russian than Matthew McConaughey, Mr. Fucking
not.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. But he's not. He doesn't come off as Russian either. And Ed Harris seems completely American.
Especially just like knowing he's Ed Harris. He's like the most American in every fucking movie he's in.
Yes.
So,
That movie came out the same year, I think, as. It might have been the year before, but I saw it around the same time I saw Pain and Gain.
that movie's
It's like-
great.
That movie is great. And he's good in it.
That
but
movie
he's
had
also
no
pretty
right to be
American.
that good. Yeah, he is.
Movie had every right to be that good because what Michael Bay is good at is hating humanity.
Yeah, I mean, it had no right to be that good based on the story, the real life story it was based on, about some manipulative fuck.
Well, yeah, but it's about how Michael Bay hates this person and will
It's true.
show how horrible he is and show horrible things happen to him.
Yeah, it is good for that, for sure. That movie's, and The Rock. The Rock is so good in everything.
He's so funny.
I love him. He's so good.
He's really good. Cooking hands.
Yeah.
Gotta cook them.
So dumb.
This is a thing that actually happens.
Yep.
Like, this is still a true story. All right. Jupiter Ascending. This movie was fun.
So it's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I was kind of worried because the trailers make it seem like the writing is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly by building it up as if the line, it's like, Channing Tatum tells, what's her face? I forget the name of the main character who's in it. But he tells her that he's Mila Kunis. He tells her like he's basically like a dog, more like a dog than a human, and she goes, "I've loved dogs. I've always loved dogs." And like the trailer tries to make it out like that's the romantic line, but in the movie it's like that kills the mood. Like that, no, that was a bad thing she said.
Yeah,
that was bad. So like the writing is not as bad as the trailer makes it out to be. It's kind of weird. The movie sort of has two third acts. It's like they have two villains they have to deal with, basically.
Okay.
So it's sort of structured weird. But I kind of like all the Wachowskis movies.
Really?
Other than the beginning, like most of the second Matrix movie, I kind of like most of them. Like I really like Speed Racer.
Oh, dude, Speed Racer is amazing.
Yeah.
That is a movie people discounted without seeing. But like,
yes,
when you first of all, that movie's just straight up fine. But when you watch that movie like on a Blu-ray or something, just in high def in the middle of the night, like it's mind blowing. That movie,
it's really good.
It's real good.
I like the beginning and ending of it. Those are really good, like sequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I didn't really like the third Matrix movie very much. I liked parts in it, but as a whole, I don't know. I still feel it's the weakest because the first one is still a classic in a nostalgia way, even though it probably doesn't hold up like at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's dated, right? Like all movies get dated. Everything gets dated. It's fine.
Yeah.
The second one was kind of like my Matrix swan song of like, this is the fun one for me to watch. Like I saw that a few times with friends in the theaters and like going out to dinner afterwards and talking about some of the dumb shit in it. Like it's just fun. And I felt like the last one didn't do enough in either way to make it like, to take the serious parts of what's going on in this story and just make it cool, and didn't go far enough with like the batshit craziness, except for of course the like million agent Smiths try to kill him, but it's kind of silly in the end. But yeah, I don't know. That was
I mean, it was a movie I came around to after rewatching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, when I first saw it, I didn't like it at all. But it was like rewatching it, thinking about it. Like I like the idea. I like the part with Agent Smith in a human body, like attacking them in the real world. Like that stuff was cool.
Sure.
And mostly it's like in the second movie, what I didn't like is like the fights. I didn't feel tension in them.
Sure.
Like all the spectacle. It's like why are his powers just literally things he's done before?
They were just
like
flashy.
Why is this stopping bullets literally only the power to stop bullets? Why does that not have any other applications?
Where like why can't he stop the bullets and then like turn them into bombs and throw them back, or just something dumb like go a little
just
further with it?
Something else.
Yeah.
Like not the exact same images from the first movie. But so a thing that so in the second Matrix movie, there's like a thing where the Merovingian, like all his people, are sort of implied to be like the inspirations for human monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't do anything with it, but the idea is sort of hinted at, and they do like the Wachowskis do a little more with that idea in Jupiter Ascending with like the aliens that show up are sort of reflect like different kinds of monsters from classic human stories.
Okay. Huh. I like that. I
So
like that concept.
yeah, there's a little bit more of that here. But mostly it's just like this is a fun, silly movie.
It's a Wachowski movie, like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of sillier than their other movies too. Like
I could get down
this
with
is a
that. That's
romp.
fine. Nice.
Yep.
Actually, you know what? That's the most glowing thing that like will actually maybe get me to see it eventually. Because like I know Wachowskis can do flashy and they can do like some thought out stuff or whatever. I kind of want to just see a fun, stupid flick every now and then, so I'll probably try it at some point.
I'm also really surprised someone gave them this much money to make a movie that has like this much special effects.
How much was
Like
it?
I know The Matrix, I don't know, but the movie just looks like there are a lot of special effects in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it must have cost a lot for what's in it. And I don't understand how they keep making movies that bomb, then someone gives them money to make giant movies. Like as someone who's liked all their movies, like I guess The Matrix made a lot, but at some point, like you don't give them money to make another bomb, right?
Oh, that budget is insane.
Yeah,
$176 million. That's a
like, and you can
stupid
tell.
amount.
You can tell it's on screen. Like it didn't disappear. They used that money to make that movie.
Oh,
I don't know
man.
why someone gave that money to make that movie, but whatever.
I'm trying to see if they made it back. I don't think
they did. It was like third the opening weekend.
Like
It made like 18 million its opening weekend or something.
yeah, that's exactly what it made, which is about 10%
Yeah,
of what it cost.
not good.
That's like the type of shit that makes companies go bankrupt. Like that is some
And
bad money management right there.
And Cloud Atlas bombed, and Speed Racer bombed. Like they
Yeah.
keep making movies that with big budgets that bomb. I don't really get how they keep getting money to do it. Other than Matrix made a lot of money.
It did make a lot of money, but it also had that cult following.
It
So
did.
there was that.
But-
I don't know.
Who gave them money to make the first Matrix in the first place? Like they must be really good pitchmen.
Oh yeah, they must be. Like what? Yeah, where did they get the money from that?
I don't know.
Assassins maybe? Like they probably just from their writing jobs as just like background writers to like saved up and made a movie.
They must have convinced someone with a lot of money that like this is a movie worth making. This will be good.
How much
I
was
don't know.
Matrix? 63 million.
Yeah.
That is considerably less than
That
like
is considerably less.
the other shit they've done. So
Yeah.
They
did good work with that money though. They put that to good use for that movie.
They made that back real good, actually. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Like they didn't make it back opening weekend, but like after the word got out, like their opening weekend was April 4th, 1999, and there was about 27 million. But then like in September specifically, every weekend they made about almost 200 million off of it. So like that
'cause
made
that was the
like
thing.
a
Like that movie
1,000
came out
times.
of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like it just showed up in theaters, and then like I hadn't even seen a trailer for it. I think when I saw it, just like oh, there's just sci-fi thing. What's
I don't
this?
remember it being marketed very well either because when I saw it, I rented it because it was just sitting there on a shelf, like at the movie store. Like I didn't even I don't even remember hearing about it in theaters at all. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they didn't market it very heavily, which made it made them more money, I assume, because it was a hit.
Yeah, like the only thing I remember from their marketing is what is the Matrix, and then that was like cut to black. What is the Matrix.com in theaters now? Like that was literally it. I'm still annoyed by that movie because there's one part where Morpheus literally says to Neo, unfortunately, nobody can be told what the Matrix is or whatever. You have to see it for yourself. And then the next fucking line, he explains what the Matrix is. He says exactly what it is. Like, it's a simulated program, basically, to... it's simulated life. Like, he says the next fucking line, exactly what it is. That always irked me. But other than that, it's pretty good.
Morpheus is an asshole.
He is an asshole. Larry Fishburne.
I really like those early scenes. I always really like those early scenes of like Neo in an office building, sneaking around from the agents coming in.
It felt like a video game. Like you were watching a video game or something. It was pretty good. I also like that, like, when you first meet Neo and, like, he's talking to that drug dealer or whatever, or that dude that he's giving viruses to.
Angel Dust.
Yeah. He literally says everything about the movie. He's just like, I think the line is verbatim, like, "You're my savior, man, my own personal Jesus Christ." It's like, you need to unplug is a thing uttered in there. Like, they describe everything in that movie. It's kind of amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And the last of the movies I've seen recently was Kingsman, which was great.
Really? Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Matthew Vaughn adapting Frank Miller comics works because he ignores Mark Millar's hatred for his readers.
Dude, I like ever since Kick-Ass, I like Matthew Vaughn's eye for turning like pre-done material into film. Like, I really enjoy it, so I could see it being pretty good.
Yeah, his violence, there's like a joy to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is fucking awesome. It's ridiculous and over the top, and it's bloody and violent. It's awesome, and you're just gonna love it.
So it's pretty good then?
Yeah, like it's a lot like someone went, how can we make James Bond appeal to today and be super violent and R-rated?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of that. And
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson is like the bad guy. Does a really good job playing like a nerd who can't look at blood but wants to kill everyone.
Oh, you mean Unbreakable? This is a movie we're talking about.
No, because he's having more fun than he was in Unbreakable.
He didn't seem like he was enjoying his time in Unbreakable at all, which kind of worked for his character, but still, that was something else.
And he's wearing like a hat slightly askew.
Mark
And
Hamill's
says,
in this
"Party."
movie?
Mark Hamill is in this movie. He
Great.
shows up at the beginning, and he's doing a British accent.
Okay. Sure.
Just because he felt like it, I guess. Like, it's really like, wait, is that Mark Hamill? He's like a fat teacher, like this professor guy.
That dude gained a lot of weight over the years.
He's kind of doing the Joker voice if he were British. He's kind of doing that.
That sounds fucking amazing.
He's not in the movie very much, but he's very entertaining. The movie has like at the midpoint has like a really brutal fight scene of just like a whole church of racists being murdered and murdering each other. It's really great.
Would you say
Also
it's your
has-
favorite movie this year so far?
Yes, Kingsman is the best movie so far this year that I've seen.
Okay, cool. All right. I kind of do want to check that out. I know very little about it, but like I'm just looking at some screen caps and like just the acting presence of the people in this movie alone is kind of intriguing me here. So I might check this one out. It's probably still in theaters, right? As of right now.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's only a couple weeks old, and I don't think there's been any huge blockbusters coming out recently to take over.
Yeah.
I'll go see it, I think. One day. One day. Cool.
There's a lot of like Moonraker references.
Oh, weird.
Sort of.
All right.
All right, so I didn't. So I read a lot of comic books,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't sure how to tackle talking about them. So my thought was just to talk about a couple series I've been reading.
Okay.
The first one is the most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series from IDW.
I actually started reading that back when that came out. It's real good from what I
It's
read.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they basically take all the elements of different Ninja Turtle series that have existed and sort of coalesce them into a coherent thing that has a plan for like where it's going. Because
Mm-hmm.
like the original comics are super dark and like a parody of Daredevil, Frank Miller's Daredevil mostly. And then they just sort of go into weird directions where they see aliens. It's like the creators were writing a parody comic that then everybody became the most popular thing, so they're just sort of rolling with it.
Yeah.
And then there's the cartoon, which was super kiddie, like super kid friendly, and
It
like
had
completely different tonally.
Yeah, it had its own like reason to like that, but it's a completely different. I just want to clarify though, is this a 2011 run that's where it started like 4 years ago, or is there a newer IDW
No, it
run?
started like 4 years ago. It's in like the 40s now in terms of issues.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, man. That the art style in it is so good. It's real good. I really like that series. I should really catch up on it. I left off at like I think issue like maybe 14 or something real early back years ago. So,
Yeah, my favorite issue of it is the one of the so there were one of the things they did that I really liked was to make the world more fleshed out. They do like little mini series or micro series.
okay. Mhm.
So like what and they do it and they're all like character focused. So
Yeah.
they can really flesh something out. So they did one of the first one they did like a micro series where they did an issue about each character. And the issue about Leonardo is like one of the best comics I've ever read.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because it
Hmm.
gets into the thing. It's basically he gets attacked by the entire Foot Clan and has to fight them off. And he's having like flashbacks to his previous life in feudal Japan and his mother being murdered. It's like a lot of
Wow.
shit going on, and it's really good art. Like,
Wow.
the, yeah, they. Another thing I really like about the series is they'll change the artist a bunch to fit the particular story they're doing.
Mhm.
Like they think about what kind of art do we want for this story so that we can keep it rolling without like interrupting the flow of the release schedule, but tell different kinds of stories that don't always fit with the same kind of art. So like if they're doing like the story I was reading, there it's like they're like in New Hampshire hiding out, so it's like a more cutesy art style
Mhm.
than some of the other ones. So I like all that shit. But I like
Yeah.
how it was like the first series since the original cartoon that put Krang back in. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they brought in so much stuff. Like when they finally brought in Bebop and Rocksteady, it was kind of amazing.
Hmm.
Because Bebop and Rocksteady were like they get mutated and they're always screw ups.
Yeah.
They screw up so bad that the Foot decides we're just gonna try and kill you because you're so terrible. And Bebop and Rocksteady are so strong that they still fight them off.
Mhm.
And then they're just like, "Can we still be part of your team? We just want to belong. We've never belonged before."
Wow.
It's like that series. I like. It's always structured around tragedy. Like it's always
Yeah. It has some serious shit going in it for a world of turtles that do like kung fu and ninjutsu. It's kind of weird.
yeah.
I love it.
I
It's
mean,
really good.
it was really good.
I should really catch up on it.
Yeah, that's worth reading. The other series I want to talk about that I've been reading is all new X-Men.
What makes them new?
They're not that they're the original X-Men from the past brought to the present.
That's weird.
They're nothing.
Okay.
So it's basically an inversion of the classic X-Men story where like they go to the dystopian future and they see how bad things are and like they solve it and then they come back.
Mhm.
So this was the original X-Men get brought to our future because our future is their dystopian future.
That's great.
But then they get stuck here and they can't go back.
That's pretty good. Wow.
Yeah. So it ties in. It ties into a partly with the current the X-Men stuff, which was mostly Scott Summers had gone crazy, become the Phoenix, and killed Professor Xavier and was a terrorist. Like one of the probably the most interesting thing about X-Men comics since the year 2000 is what they've done with Cyclops. They gave him like a whole character arc of him
That's good because I've always hated
basically
Cyclops.
going fucking crazy.
Good. I've always hated Cyclops. I always thought he was the least like interesting. So that's cool to hear, at least.
Like his thing was he was always super introverted, so it doesn't make for a dynamic comic book character to read about.
Sure. Yeah.
But like it's gone way more into the way Professor X raised him was more he feels about this more as like a military guy than as like a teacher for a school. Like he's way more into we have to train in these particular ways. We have to raise kids in these ways so that they will be ready to fight off the giant evil robots that will come to murder them.
The fucking Sentinels.
Yeah.
Sentinels are so cool.
Yes. So and he doesn't.
Mhm.
So he doesn't trust the government at all. He he goes into hiding, and he has to he kills Professor Xavier when he's the Phoenix and he's gone crazy, but he basically just decides to own it. Is like,
Okay.
no, this is a thing I did.
Mhm.
I'm gonna live with this terrible thing I did, but I'm gonna keep moving forward. I'm not gonna give up on what I'm trying to do.
That's cool. So he becomes
So-
almost like a villain, like a super villain or something.
Yeah, kind of. Like he has Magneto working with him for a while.
Well, I mean, I've always held to the belief that the best villains are the ones who think they're doing the right thing. So, like, that sounds like he would be a cool villain because it sounds like everything he did was because he thought, like, this is necessary.
The thing is, he's crazy, but he's also right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, to the point where you actually are just rooting for him.
Huh. That sounds interesting, actually.
Like,
Wow.
Yeah, I really like what they've done with that, and that's most. So it's been the main X-Men writer recently has been Brian Michael Bendis, who got his big start. He created Ultimate Spider-Man, and he'd been writing the Avengers for years. But so when he left the Avengers, he started doing X-Men. So he'd started all new X-Men, and he started Uncanny X-Men. Uncanny X-Men was basically Cyclops' group. And All New X-Men is this story where Beast goes back in time, thinking that terrorist Cyclops is gonna like result in mutant genocide. So he wants to so he brings the past X-Men to the future to try and stop him and realize how terrible he's become. Except Beast is kind of the worst. It's like kind of he's become the real monster.
Well, yeah, he's Beast, right? So I guess it
Yeah.
makes sense. Kelsey
It's gone
Grammer.
crazy. Yeah, Kelsey Grammer.
That's all I think about when I think of Beast. So he ruined it for me. So are there any other comics? Like I don't read a whole lot lately. I've just been busy. But like I'm trying to think of like I was really into the new 42 Batman that they were doing. Not the Detective
50s.
Comics one. The
Mhm.
sorry.
Batman?
Yeah, I'm just looking up. I can't remember who the dude is that was doing that.
Scott Snyder?
Yeah, I think it was Snyder, yeah. I was really into that for a while. Like, I think the first arc was the Court of Owls thing,
Mhm.
and that was real cool. And then I kind of fell off during right after that, I think I read one more issue. Like, what have they been doing with that? If you've been keeping
So they
up?
did his big story they did a Joker story, I think.
Sure.
after Court of Owls. But then they did Year Zero,
Okay.
which where they did, and it ended up being like a big Riddler story.
Hmm.
And there's a part in it where Batman is like shirtless on a motor dirt bike. I think is one of the things.
Okay.
Like I haven't been reading it. That's one of the things I know about it
Okay. Fair enough.
from the internet. I've been reading a lot more Marvel stuff because they've been doing a lot of really good character focused books with like really good artists and really good writers, while DC's editorial has chased away a lot of their good writers.
Mm.
Like they've become too focused on like their vision as a company rather than just letting writers do cool stuff.
I see. That's too
Or
bad.
Marvel, yeah. Like the Bat books are kind of the exception to that. The Bat books seem to be sort of being doing their own thing because those are the ones that have been and those are the ones that have been selling better. I know like Batman is obviously the most popular thing.
Oh, for sure.
So there's books like Hawkeye has been really good by Matt Fraction, which sort of the idea of that was this is what Hawkeye does when he's not with the Avengers, and he has like
He just hangs out or something, drinks beer,
yeah,
maybe eats some pizza.
and he hangs out with the other Hawkeye
Oh,
because
okay.
there was like a really good comic that was Young Avengers. It was basically kids who with superpowers who were basically Avengers fanboys forming their own Avengers team, and one of the members was this girl Kate Bishop who just became Hawkeye. Like it wasn't girl Hawkeye, no, just Hawkeye.
Okay.
So then once Hawkeye the actual Hawkeye was like dead or something at that point, but once Hawkeye came back, she just stayed Hawkeye. So they were just both Hawkeye. So
Cool.
the book kind of becomes about both of them,
Cool.
and she's really cool. She's a really good character. There's also Mark Waid's Daredevil has been really good. Is basically the idea is Daredevil goes through so much trauma that he's just gonna have fun. Like he's just happy. Like he's just like not gonna take himself seriously. Like so there's a running gag where it was revealed to like everyone that Matt Murdock was Daredevil, but so he just denies it. So like the fact is out there. He's just like I'm not Daredevil, and he'll wear a shirt that says like I'm not Daredevil. And he just like keeps up that he's blind. Like it's silly and it's fun. It has really good art. Like Hawkeye also has really good art and really good layouts.
Have you ever read Saga?
I have not read Saga.
I
I've heard people say Saga is good, but I've not read it.
It's quite good. I'd be interested to hear your opinions on it. Like, I think they're up to volume 3 now, so they're probably in the 20s, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. I kind of fell off of that too, but I'm not that far behind. I've read the first 2 volumes. That you like Firefly and Serenity, right?
Yes.
It feels like that kind of, but not really, because if it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet thing where there's the 2 warring factions basically, and the 2 main characters like are from opposite ends of it and like have a kid together sort of thing, but there's weird aliens and bounty hunters going after them, and like the general of like this other TV headed people, like they're just basically like humanoids with a TV head. I don't know. It's really weird and out there, but I kind of dig it because it's still rooted in a basic like just love story sort of thing with the 2 opposing factions and 2 people kind of caught in the crossfire of it. I don't know. It's kind of cool. Also, have you read Fatale at all?
I have not.
Because I think
Not read that
you
either.
would. I think you would enjoy that. It is basically like a film noir detective thing with H.P. Lovecraft influence.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's fucking great. It's real good, but a little dry, a little bit. But I mean,
I mean, I feel like that
Lovecraft is
happens
a
with
little
Lovecraft.
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, if you like ever go to the store and you're just like, I don't know what to read, maybe check one of those out and tell me what you think.
I have so much to read.
So yeah, I can see it in your back there on your shelves there. At least I think those are comic books and books.
No, that's mostly books
Oh,
and
that's
some video games. This is
actual
like
books.
this is like shelf of random books that I should reorganize.
Ah, gotcha. All right, cool. Close this off here. All right. So you were watching some anime?
Yes, it's watching some anime.
All right.
So the anime I watched on I like watched the whole thing is an anime I've seen before. It was Maru Penguin Drum.
Okay. Don't know.
So it's the director of it was the director for the second half basically of Sailor Moon. And basically on when he was working on the Sailor Moon movie, he sort of quit in the middle of it because he was like having creative differences with like the mangaka or whatever his overseers was, and he eventually formed his own studio and created this other anime called Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is, in my opinion, the best anime ever created. So
Whoa,
I
what?
really like this director.
Wait, what's it called? Let me look it up.
Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Okay. Okay.
So he created that, and then he didn't do anything for a really long time until he did Maru Penguin Drum. And Maru Penguin Drum is kind of the second best anime I've ever seen. Like, he lived up to it. And Maru Penguin Drum also has a bigger budget, so it looks really good.
Okay, cool.
So, because Utena was all about, it's like a lot about patterns and controls and symbolism. Like, every character's hair has a meaning. Like that, this character's hair is red means that they want to revolutionize the world through power. If this character's hair is orange, it means they're interested in miracles. Blue is a shining thing. Green is eternity. Like there's a lot there, and it's also like highly engaging with good characters. But it's a lot about patterns and establishing things because you have to reuse footage and then breaking them. So it's like very well thought out. Every piece is in its place specifically to be there. Whereas Maru Penguin Drum, because it doesn't have to do that, it's much more like stuff is sort of metaphorical, but it's mostly really happening. Like all the weird shit that happens is it's not, there's not symbols in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the setup is we start out with a family of two brothers and a sister who their parents aren't around, and then but the sister is dying. Like she's really sick, she's gonna die. Okay. And they're sort of just being nice to her. They go to the aquarium, look at the penguins, and then they're gonna buy this penguin hat they find in the store, and then they find out they can't find her. She's like wandered off and she's passed out. She dies.
Okay.
And then they're all yelling and they're sad. And then she wakes up and she's wearing the penguin hat, and turns out the penguin hat is like possessing her and says they can keep her alive, but they have to find something called the penguin drum. They won't tell them what the penguin drum is, only that they have to find it.
Great. Okay.
And it leads them to, and then they get like 3 invisible penguins show up, which sort of serve as like the comic relief for the show. And the penguins sort of reflect, there's like one penguin for each of them, and it sort of reflects the character it's attached to. Like if they're having internal mood, it'll be shown in like what the penguin's doing, kind of. Like one of the characters' penguins is always looking at like porn. Like that's what his thing is. He's
right.
Like always looking at little magazines.
Every anime has one.
One of the penguins is always spraying bugs.
Okay.
One of the penguins is like knitting a lot or wears a wig. The one for the sister.
Mm-hmm.
But so what the show ends up, and so there's a lot of things in motion in the show. Like there are like 7 secret conspiracies going on in the background of the characters you're interacting with at any time. and it all kind of pays off by the end. But like the early episodes, they end up following this girl who turns out to be stalking their homeroom teacher.
Oh.
So it's like there's like a scene where you're seeing the teacher walking, and then she's following him, and then they're following her. And they're like, wait, she's just doing the thing we're doing. We shouldn't judge her too bad, I guess, even though this is super creepy. And a lot of the show thematically is all about sort of guilt and kids suffering for the sins of their parents.
Oh, wow,
Like,
that's heavy. Okay.
Yeah, it's super heavy. So like the penguins are there because it would be unbearable without like comic relief to give you some joy, because they're some of the worst people in this show. Like there's a character, the girl whose father is like a great artist, and he literally tells her out like, "You're ugly. Ugly things can never be loved. Come here, I will make you beautiful." And then you just hear like you hear like the sound of his tools working, and you like the next day she's with a sling.
Oh, good lord.
Like it's brutal.
Yeah, that sounds... Holy shit. Okay, well... Penguins, yay, look at the penguins.
Yeah. So there's a lot to that show.
How long is it?
So it's 24 episodes.
That's it?
Yep.
Holy shit, that is one I could actually potentially watch.
Yep. The best anime I find tend to be around 24 episodes. Like, not too long. Like the anime that go on forever, they're not the best. They're at best okay, usually.
I remember one week I was just like, that does it. I'm gonna watch Naruto. That week I spent 94 episodes worth of time watching Naruto, and I was just like, there was like 2 fucking story arcs, and I've spent like 40 hours on this shit. But yeah,
Naruto takes like 20 episodes for it to even start getting good.
Oh, dude, yeah, like, I was not feeling it until probably, I think, episode 11 or 12 or something, and then I think that's when they, like, get on their main quest or whatever. I don't know what I can't remember. It's been a while. Basically, they're...
Like, I think the show really starts to take off like during the Chunin exam, when they get to introduce a whole bunch of new characters.
That's where it was kind of like, oh god, there is a lot of characters in this show to me, because for the first long time, like maybe 16 episodes or whatever, you think it's probably 3 and then their wacky teacher who's also a badass, but it's like, no, there's like probably 15 characters and they're all kind of badass, except Sakura, who never really does. And she had one episode, and I actually was so impressed by this episode that I broke out my Tumblr account, which during the time I had used once ever before for anything. I grabbed some screenshots. I'm just like, this is the only time she's been relevant and not just like Sasuke and like falling in love, basically. And it's where she's like being held by her hair. She just takes like one of her fucking knives,
is the moment.
cuts it, jumps in the air, and just like throws knives at it. It's like, oh my god, she's kicking some ass right now, and then it never happens again.
It's like the turning point for her character, and she doesn't like get another fight till I think after the time skip.
Yeah,
which is when the show starts as a different show.
Oh, you mean Shippuden?
Yeah.
Dude, she is worthless.
The other problem with
series.
Naruto is there's too much filler. There's way too much filler that they just created.
There's
like,
some great theme songs, though.
Our plot... There are some good theme songs. But any show that goes, all right, so we finished our plot, let's do 90 episodes of filler that take place before this plot event, before we move on. How about that?
Yeah, no, like for
90
sure.
90 episodes in a row of episodic filler.
It's like, I remember back in the day watching Dragon Ball and thinking there's some bullshit in there. It's nothing compared to Naruto. Like, Dragon Ball is the fastest paced thing when it comes to episodes and filler. Like, Naruto literally has like a recap every episode that takes up the first 5 minutes.
Well, the joke with Dragon Ball is certain points of the series you can just watch last time on Dragon Ball and next time on Dragon Ball, and basically just that would be good. You'd be
Well, yeah,
good
but
because
you
they're
need
just
two
powering
people
up
going
all of this.
in between for the episode,
Yeah,
and then that cuts away.
my
Yeah.
favorite episodes of Dragon Ball Z are the silly ones, like when they learn how to drive.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of dumb stuff. Those are the fun ones.
And that's why, honestly, Dragon Ball is way better than Dragon Ball Z because that actually has a good pacing
Mm-hmm.
and literally builds to a fight where people are just screaming. Like there's progression up to that rather than just starting at that end point where everything lasts forever and is all yelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, it starts out. It's like the guy who wrote it. His whole background was in writing gag manga, so it's really funny when he lets it. When he just disappear into screaming.
So anyway,
So the
Penguin Drum. It's pretty good.
yes,
Okay.
Penguin Drum is really good. It's
Okay.
really good. The other show I've been watching is by the same director. He just started a new show that there are 8 episodes out. I've watched 7 of them, called Yurikuma Arashi, which translate to Lily Bear Storm, or, and it's means both these things, Lesbian Bear Storm. This show is about lesbians, bears, and lesbian bears.
I'm in.
So you know Attack on Titan?
I do know it very well. Yeah.
So what if all the main characters were
I'm done. Yeah.
lesbians and all the monsters were just bears?
To be fair,
Very cute, cheapy bears.
to be fair, if you like muted Attack on Titan, you could probably assume most of them are lesbians.
So I was talking about this on Twitter, and I got Ty to watch the first 2 episodes, and all he said on Twitter is, that was literally the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Because it's pretty weird. Like, it is weird even by anime standards.
Oh no. But in a good way?
Oh, it's great.
Okay.
Like, there's an audio stinger for dramatic moments where they just go, Kumashak! And it shows like a CG bear hand. It's ridiculous.
That sounds great.
And like the transformation sequence involves a lily emerging from a girl, and then the 2 bears turn into girls and start like licking sap off the flower in super suggestive ways.
Oh no. Well, it's anime. It's fine, I guess.
I mean, it's all super intentional
Yeah.
because it's about lesbians and bears. And there's a bear court where there's like the sexy bear, cool bear, and beauty bear. They're like the judges. And sexy bear will always say sexy at some point, and then his catchphrase is at the end he'll go shabba-da-doo.
Nice. That's great.
It's really, and then he'll ask with, "Will you be invisible or will you eat humans?" And the bears go, "We'll eat humans. We won't back down on love." It's ridiculous. But so it also has a lot of the director Ikuhara. Like, Ikuhara is a great director, so it's really well made. There's a lot of thought put into this. It's really weird. There's the Great Bear War, but it's all like young girls in army outfits. It's all silhouetted on like a red background.
The
You
Great
see like
Bear
silhouettes
War.
of girls in army gear running, and then they're cute chibi bears with like spears running, and then like a bear jumps at a girl, and she goes, "Oh!" And then there's like a silhouette of her naked in a sexy pose, and a spurt of like blood is like coming out of her vagina area
Great.
for the side. It's crazy. It's crazy.
In a good way, though? Like,
It's great.
okay.
I'm all in on this show. This show is
Okay.
great.
Okay.
Like, it takes to about, it's like in the 3rd episode it starts getting away from its formula, and you get into more like a weird. You get start to get to the backstory and starts becoming more interesting. Whether in the beginning you're just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm still kind of what the fuck is going on, but it's starting to take shape. And it's only going to be 12 episodes.
Oh, okay. And that just started, you said, right? Like this year?
Yep, there are 8 episodes out so far.
Oh, okay.
And then they're taking a week off, and then, like, in 4 weeks, they're airing once a week.
Okay. So you're all caught up on that, or you just started it, sort of thing?
I've watched 7 of the 8 episodes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because
so
we
you're
watched
caught
it,
up.
like, right before the 8th episode came out. Me and my friend.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And the other show I've been watching is the second season of Durara,
Okay.
which is another anime I really enjoyed. It's kind of the best anime I've seen at capturing the feel of a city. So there's just like a huge cast of characters. They're all sort of doing their own thing, and then they interweave at different times. Like I sent in a voicemail to the podcast once recommending the anime Bacano, and this is by the same studio and from a light novel by the same author as the Bacano was based on, a light novel based on this from that same author. So it's similar in a lot of ways, but this is like more present day as opposed to olden times. Like this takes place in like present day Japan.
Okay.
There's just like a really large cast of cool characters. They like, yeah, it's really cool. It's hard to describe because there's so much going on, but it's a lot of it's about like building gang wars.
I could get down with gang wars.
and it's sort of, there's like the main group of characters all chat in an anonymous chat room.
Okay.
They don't really know it's each other, but they start to, or some of them do. And the villain is one of the greatest characters because all he wants to do, his like job is like being an information broker, and all he wants to do is know things and cause trouble. He just like wants things to go bad for people,
Nice.
and he has fun. Like his introduction scene is great. Like he ends up taking a cell phone from a girl and just stamping on it. Like,
I'm gonna have to look some of this shit up. I think I'm gonna start with Penguin Drum though.
Penguin Drum's a good place to start.
I should really keep watching Sword Art Online because the little bit I've seen, I kind of dig the like premise of that show.
Sword Art Online is good for 14 episodes, and then you can stop. You don't have to watch anymore.
What happens
everything
after that?
It's all fan fiction, basically. It's like different plots. Like basically, the story ends, and then they're like, we can throw out most of the characters except our main 2, and just tell other stories.
That's kind of weird.
They told a really good story that was really well paced. Like they told it in the amount of time, and then just like this was popular, let's make more stuff. I don't know, because I guess they're based on books, so I feel like the other books just aren't as good as whatever that first book was.
Oh, okay. There's also another one. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Apote or Apote or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? Upotte. Then exclamation mark. It's basically an anime where the girls are guns.
I haven't watched that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's another one I've been wanting to check out for a bit now, but Penguin Drum, I mean, I want some penguins. So, that seems like a good place.
There's a lot of good penguin antics.
Okay.
And scenes of penguins putting underwear on their heads.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, let me pull this back up. Holy shit, we actually went through all your like recent stuff.
Yep,
wow.
We got through all of it.
Nice. Not bad. So did you want to do this next part?
Sure. Can run through this quickly.
Okay. So your top 10 movies?
Yeah. Top
Okay.
10 movies of 2014.
Are these in order?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 1 is at the top. So,
Oh, I see.
so
Okay.
number 10 is The Interview.
I still haven't seen it. Is it worth my time? Because I
It's
kind of.
funny. It's dumb. It's really dumb. They use the Katy Perry song Firework, though.
I
It's
like
like
that
a big
song.
thing in the movie.
I like that song. I'm okay with
Like
that.
they have Kim Jong Un and what's his face? How am I blanking on his name? Now I'm blanking on their names.
Who? Rogan and the other
The
guy.
other one.
Holy Franco and Rogan.
Yeah, James Franco.
Yeah.
James Franco and Kim Jong have a moment over Firework where they start singing it to each other.
Okay. That
It's
that
it's a
seems
thing.
okay. See,
And,
my problem is
and
I didn't
Seth
like.
Rogen
Mhm.
plays a good straight man to Franco. He's basically playing straight man to Franco being out of the top. But if you don't like those guys that much, maybe skip it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I enjoyed them a little bit in Pineapple Express. Like, I can still watch that every now and then.
Mhm.
I hated This Is the End. Like,
Mm.
I really didn't like that movie at all. Well, that's not true. There's some really stupidly great parts in it, but I didn't like it very much. This is more focused, I'm guessing, though, because there's actually a story, right? Kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to, like, kill Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, they're
or
supposed to
whatever.
kill Kim Jong. James Franco basically just becomes best friends with him.
Okay.
It like they clearly like were inspired by the stories of Dennis Rodman going to North Korea and becoming friends with Kim Jong Un and playing basketball with him. Like there's scenes of James Franco and him playing basketball together on like a tiny hoop, what they can both dunk on.
Okay. I mean, stuff like that, it sounds better than, like, I was picturing it then, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's not so much a stoner comedy then, like the other stuff they always do. Yes and no?
I mean, there's yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Like they're just really stupid. Just idiots.
Like, they don't lean into the, like, smoke weed every day sort of thing like they do sometimes.
no, they don't do that.
Good. Yeah, okay.
They don't lean into that stuff. They just lean into James Franco being a fucking crazy idiot.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
and
I mean,
really gullible.
that movie's free.
Yeah,
It's on
it made me
Netflix.
laugh. Like
Okay.
one of the things, like going to a lot of movies in the theaters, it's really hard to make a comedy. Like there aren't that many good comedies, and so when I see a movie that's really funny, that makes me laugh, I rank it up higher.
Sure.
Like I value that. The more I've gone to go see movies in the theaters regularly, the more I've valued just good, funny movies.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Number 9 was Snowpiercer.
BioShock, basically, the movie. That movie's so good. I love
It's
it.
really good.
Yeah.
Everyone has to live on a train and
I-
eat cubes of meat, cubes of food, protein.
I love it. The, like, going through the train cars as they're kind of making their ways up. Like, that feels like BioShock, basically. And it's so good. It's so fucking good. Kind of a weird, not ending so much, but, like, when he's talking about, like, I don't want to give it basically eating a baby. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. Or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Like all the weird, like that movie is angry about class stuff
In
in a
yeah.
real way.
Yeah, for sure.
Next on my list, Grand Budapest Hotel. I like Wes Anderson movies.
I'm not a huge fan, but I know Nathan
one-
would be mad that that's not, like, 8 spots higher, so.
What stands out about this movie to me is how much more violent it is than his other movies.
Okay.
And this was actually higher on my list till I rewatched it alongside another Wes Anderson movie,
Which one?
Darjeeling Limited,
Okay.
which is about 3 brothers trying to find their like estranged mother in India.
Mhm.
And that movie just seemed way better to me when I watched them next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because that movie, the brothers in that movie feel like real brothers. Like they're stupid and they're weird in interacting each other in a way that feels genuine. And that movie doesn't have a father figure. It's like the profound absence of a father figure compared to other Wes Anderson movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of Wes Anderson movies are sort of dealing with similar themes in slightly different ways. And I liked how that like riff on it.
Okay.
And his movies always have like more and more in like he's putting everything like he's framing his shots so like force controlledly, and Grand Budapest Hotel goes even further into that because it's like mostly in 4:3. Like he like the aspect ratio is I think set for the different time periods, like it's a nested story, like a story within a story kind of is how he sets it up. So it's like for whatever year it's set up for, the aspect ratio is set for like what films of that year were set up for, kind of. I think that's sort of the idea. But yeah, I like that movie. Next on my list was John Wick.
Yeah.
Which we already talked about.
Yeah.
That
movie's
movie's
great.
good.
Yeah, it is.
It's really fun. And next on my list was Edge of Tomorrow.
I want to see it so bad. I still haven't because I keep forgetting it exists.
It's really good.
That is definitely out to like buy on DVD or like rent or whatever. Yeah. Okay. I have to get that one and watch it because it's been so long. I remember wanting to see it in theaters, but it was kind of one of those things that is like when it came out, I think we were dealing with some like personal stuff here, and then we went to visit parents, and like it seemed like everything got in the way, and then I forgot it existed until somebody says something about it, and then I get excited again. But I have to watch it. Maybe this week. I'll put a reminder
lot of people
on my
didn't
phone.
see it. They should have. Emily Blunt is fucking great.
Dude,
I love Emily Blunt.
I would watch anything Emily Blunt is in. Like, no joke. I'm kind of in love with her. Anyway, she's great.
She's really good. Tom Cruise is really good in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's
it's just
good
really
at that.
good. Like it's like combines Groundhog Day with good action, kind of. Like it's just really good. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Next I saw Inherent Vice.
I don't even know what this is.
It's starring Joaquin Phoenix. And it's like a 70s noir thing.
Oh. Okay.
So he's like a detective, but it's the 70s. So instead of being a complete alcoholic, he's high all the time.
Oh.
And it sort of has the character of that where like he is completely out of it but also investigating certain things. And it has like that Shaggy Dog quality of just stuff is happening and he's not sure what's going on, but it's all sort of moving forward. And there's just some great stuff in there.
I love the poster for this. That is a
really
great
good
poster.
So there's like a running joke in it with Josh Brolin's character, who just fucking hates Joaquin Phoenix and is sort of the cop on the force. He's the street force, but he's always eating chocolate covered bananas like he's giving them a blowjob. So there's like a scene where he's driving, eating it, and Joaquin Phoenix is just like looking at him, like just giving him a look like, what are you doing? Why are you eating it like that? Yeah. And there's like a weird joke. There's like a weird thing where he keeps running into blanking on names. Nope.
I know nothing about it, so I can't even help out here.
Owen Wilson.
Oh,
he keeps
wow.
running into Owen Wilson in weird places. And so like he goes to like a cult and Owen Wilson is there. And Owen's like, what are you doing here? Like, what? How did this happen? Because, yeah. There's just a lot of things going on. They don't all make sense. It's pretty great though. Like it's a good noir movie in terms of like, but it has like totally 70s feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also yeah, I'm not remembering parts of it. I don't want to go into it. Next on my list was The Purge Anarchy.
I still have yet to watch the first one, which I actually own. So,
You don't need to watch the first one.
dude, yeah, no, I know because Nathan was just like, this one was the one, like the
Yeah.
Anarchy. He said it's way better. So I don't know why though. So I kind of want to watch the first one because it's right there. Like I'm pointing to it off camera. I can see it. Like,
So the thing is, with the first one, they came up with this interesting premise of like one day a year, any crime is legal.
mm,
But in the first movie, they just do it like we're gonna follow this rich family, and it's a home invasion movie. Like we're gonna do nothing with this idea. It's just a really over the top setup
it's
for a
just
home
the
invasion
strangers
movie.
again.
Yes, basically.
Okay, I didn't know it was a home invasion movie. I'm probably not going to watch it because those actually terrify me. They make me
Yeah, that's what it
uncomfortable.
is. It's
Okay.
just a home invasion movie. Whereas The Purge Anarchy is an action movie, basically starring the Punisher.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm down.
Like, they never give the main character, they never tell you his name, and he's played by a guy named Frank.
Great.
He's played by Frank Grillo.
I don't know who that
He's
is.
basically, yeah, I didn't know him before this movie, but he kicks ass in this movie. Basically, he's going out, like he's locked and loaded. He's ready. But he's going out probably to avenge like the death of his son.
Okay.
Like, and he's out there, and he runs into people who are being like attacked by like this armed van full of people who are like just grabbing people. And he's like, "Fuck it, I gotta save them. Like, I don't want to, but I feel compelled." So he ends up saving them and basically dragging them with him as he's trying to get to where he wants to be for the purge, because like he feels compelled to protect them, but he also like feels like he has to take care of some business.
Hmm.
And like they go through a whole gambit of like showing you stuff about the purge. Like you get like at one point they end up like in an auction where rich people bid on people to go murder in
Oh,
like
weird.
like a closed off section. It's like a paintball area, but they have guns and they're hunting people who they bought at this auction.
Wow.
And there's like a subplot where like there's a rebellion that's been brewing, and it's led by an actor from The Wire who played Omar on The Wire.
I've heard good things about Omar from The Wire. I haven't seen The Wire, but people always bring that character up, so.
He's a good character.
Okay. I'll take your word
The Purge
for it.
Anarchy is angry about the same stuff that Snowpiercer is angry about too.
Okay.
Like that class stuff, like those undertones are there. I thought the Purge Anarchy was just really good. Like
Cool.
it really hit the spot. Next movie on my list is We Are the Best,
I have no idea what this is.
which is it takes its place in Stockholm in the 80s.
Okay.
It's about three teenage girls who form a punk band.
Okay.
And two of them form it basically because they're at their youth center, and there's like an area for this band. I forget the name of their band. It's like Iron something, super generic. But they basically decide to form the band so that they can take the space away from that band, just to be because they don't like them.
That's pretty good.
And they like can't play instruments at all when they start. They just start like smashing on stuff, and their big song is "Hate the Sport" because they write it in gym class because they're being forced to run, and they decide they hate sports. So they just start yelling, "Hate the sport! Hate the sport! Hate the sport!" And then they have to add in. It has to be topical, so they add in like a line about children starving in Africa because that's what you do when you're writing a song.
Honestly,
You
that's
have
what
to
you do when you
top-
write a punk song specifically. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it has a great. It's like it feels very much in the spirit of punk. And these three girls just doing their thing, and
Okay.
it's just delightful. Like
Cool.
the girls in it are really good, and it's really fun. And it was like a movie. It was like, yes, this is why I just go see random shit in theaters. Like this is it. Just finding a really cool movie that I really enjoyed, that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. Honestly.
Cool.
Next on my list, The Raid 2.
This is a sequel to the Raid Redemption and not the Warcraft movie, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It kicks all the ass.
I really liked Redemption, so does it just go further than that?
So it completely blows out the story. So now he's like undercover working for gangsters. It's like a much bigger movie. Like instead of they just completely blow it out into like it's in infernal affairs
Okay.
scale stuff. But there's like scenes where he's in prison where there's like just like a whole mob of guys like hammering on the door to like the stall he's in. Where
Mm.
he's just sitting there waiting and they break in and he like beats up all of them. There's a great there's a great mud fight in the prison. There's a like they get more cartoonish with some of the villains because there's like this girl who wields two hammers and there's a guy who walks around with an aluminum bat who then busts out baseballs and starts hitting baseballs at people.
That
There's
sounds
like a great
familiar. The baseball thing. Why do I feel like that's been done before? Maybe not like in that way, but I don't know. I'll think of it maybe, but
It was really cool.
huh.
Like the action is still top notch. It's about the same character, but now he's more grizzled because he has to go to jail to go undercover because shit goes bad after the end of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's
Okay.
really good. It's really good action.
So if I liked Redemption, I'll like this, probably.
Probably
Okay.
like it's a much more complicated story. Like they went in the opposite direction with it, but the action is still as good, and it's compelling.
Cool.
It's good stuff. And my number one movie for last year was Gone Girl.
I still have to see it.
It's basically a Hitchcock thriller. And the key to a Hitchcock thriller is that it's secretly a comedy
Sure.
because it's so ridiculous. The shit that happens is so nuts that you just have to laugh. Like it's just funny. That's how Hitchcock thought about his movies. It's
Mhm.
like I don't know why people thought this like my movies were scary. I just found it really amusing. Talking about Psycho and stuff.
I could see it.
Yeah. And I know it's a Hitchcock thriller because everyone who made that movie is now signed on to make a new version of Strangers on a Train.
Wow. Okay. That could be
Like
okay.
a modern version of Strangers on a Train, which I'm looking forward to.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about Gone Girl because it relies on things that happen that would be spoilers.
Mhm.
But this movie made Tyler Perry awesome. Tyler Perry is in this movie and he's great.
Okay. Wow.
It's like shows up and he's like, "Oh, you people are crazy. This is hilarious."
That's a
He's just
feat
laughing
on
at Ben
itself.
Affleck.
Wow.
Yes. A lot of reviews went, "How good is this movie?" It is so good that Tyler Perry is great in this movie.
You can tell Tyler Perry was just like reading that. He's like, "Hey, what? Thanks, I guess." Like,
Yeah. But yeah, this really sort of put David Fincher into like this is a director I need to always pay attention to because I've liked his other movies.
I
This
love
is like-
David Fincher's movies, so
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
it
he's really
was.
good.
There was something about like hearing about it when Gone Girl was coming out that I was just like, that's probably not going to be any good or something. But it like I should have just
'Cause
trusted in the
Like the
Fincher.
trailers. Yeah, the trailers make it look like a really generic kidnapping movie.
They
On
do.
purpose, really. Because they don't want to show you any of the good parts.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah,
Like it's basic it sort of is that movie at the beginning, but then it gets good.
okay. Yeah, Nathan was talking about this actually a couple weeks ago when we were at work together. And I'm just like, I still haven't seen that. He's like, yeah, I mean, are you in the mood to watch people like fuck each other over when they should be trusting each other and blah blah blah? I'm like, not really right now. He's like, yeah, then you probably shouldn't watch it. Just go watch something else. So I was like, okay. His thing was apparently like, should probably be in the mood to watch it. I guess. But I don't know. Like, I'm usually in the mood to watch David Fincher's stuff because he does some weird out there stuff. So
Swastika Cat.
yeah. I should watch that. There's no reason not to, because I think I have access to it. Yeah, one day. One of these days. So that's the best movie of 2014.
Yeah. Yep. There's some movies I haven't seen that I've heard are good, but I'm going with that's the best.
Well, you'd be wrong because Birdman apparently was. That's what a bunch of old people in suits said.
Yeah, they're wrong. Because now
Nathan was so mad.
Worst movies.
He was so mad. Because he said,
I was mad. Yeah, I was mad at the. This is the first year I was mad at the nominees for Best Picture. I was like, I looked at the nominees. And I'm like, oh wow, you clearly just don't like good movies.
like, who were the nominees?
Like, a Grand Budapest Hotel was nominated. I know Boyhood was nominated.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. It was like Birdman was nominated for everything. Gone Girl wasn't nominated at all. I was also annoyed We Are the Best didn't get nominated for Best Foreign Picture. That also annoyed me. It also should have been nominated for Best Song, because there was like an article on Grantland that was talking about how Hate the Sport should have been nominated, even though it's kind of purposefully a terrible song. But it's great. Its context in the movie is amazing. Yeah. But, yeah, the Oscars. Fuck the Oscars. The Oscars suck.
I've been saying it for years, and I still don't understand why people pay attention to it, but that's just me, I guess.
I was so mad. I'm mad at them that they made me mad, because I don't watch it anymore.
It was funny because Nathan specifically said, like, I don't care what wins as long as it's not Birdman. He specifically said, he's like, Grand Budapest doesn't even have to win. As like he's like Boyhood could win just based on like the fact that it took so long to make and like it was an endeavor or whatever. He's like, but fuck Birdman, and like I was just like, it's gonna win. He's like, I know, and it's fucking infuriating to me. And it did, and then I just laughed.
Yeah, it won. That happened. So I want to talk more about Birdman, but I want to get to it in order. So this is actually in the document listed backwards. So Wolves is the number 10 worst movie I saw in 2014. And Wolves was written and directed by David Hayter.
Okay, yeah. Poor David Hayter.
I didn't realize he'd actually wrote the first like 2 X-Men movies too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that fact is not widely publicized enough. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah.
This movie feels like it was at one point a script for a Wolverine movie, but didn't get picked up as that, so they rewrote it to be about werewolves. It's like a R-rated werewolf superhero movie. Like, it's okay, but it's kind of boring. Like, it's pretty mediocre.
So boring's not a good thing.
No,
So.
it's just not really worth seeing. It was okay. It was not. My number 9 was Birdman. The thing about Birdman, the parts of it are really good. Like, Michael Keaton is kind of amazing. The cinematography, really impressive. You put all that together, nope. It's too interested in like criticizing media, but it has like nothing to say for itself, and it just sort of wants to throw poop at everyone. And it's very like the writer wanking off.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's relying on this trick of Michael Keaton was Batman.
Yeah.
So like, that's why you care about this thing. Mm-hmm. But then like Edward Norton shows up as like the cool guy who only appears on Broadway. And it's like, Edward Norton was fucking Bruce Banner. What the fuck are you doing? Like, he has no more cred than Michael Keaton. I don't like. I wouldn't bother me except that the movie was so reliant on the hook of Michael Keaton having been Batman.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't
And
pay
then
off. Really? Like,
yeah, the ending just it all falls apart at the end. It's like you're waiting for it to build to something, and it's fucking the ending sucks. It's nothing. There's a weird thing where Michael Keaton has like psychic powers that doesn't make any sense, and I don't know why it's in the movie.
okay.
And a lot of the movie is about Emma Stone wanting to bang Edward Norton, but Edward Norton can only get off when he's on stage.
That's
He only
awkward.
can get hard when he's on stage.
Great.
Like he gets in a fight with his wife because he like, or I think it's his wife, or maybe the actress. He tries having sex with someone on stage, and he looks. It's. This is a movie that's weaker than the sum of its parts, kind of.
Oh, okay.
But it's also just super pretentious.
Yeah, I've heard that multiple times about it.
It's super pretentious.
And it doesn't really earn the right to be.
No, because it has nothing to say for itself.
Yeah.
It has nothing to say. It's just like, you suck. And you suck too.
Great. You know,
And
serious
somehow,
art.
yeah, and somehow the fate of a play is totally determined by one critic. Because that's how the world works. One critic.
It used to, but that critic's dead. I have
Talking
no.
about Siskel?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I have no inclination to watch it really, ever.
Yeah. They wasted Michael Keaton. I'm so mad at them for wasting Michael Keaton.
He's not really in anything anymore either. Like he could have devoted
He's in
everything to it.
RoboCop.
You're right, he was. I actually saw that recently too.
I haven't seen that.
It's
I've heard it was okay.
It's fine. It
Yeah.
doesn't go far enough like the original did for like the violence or whatever they were trying to do. I think it played it a little too safe for a RoboCop.
Yep. But that's like the difference between now and the 80s. Like, you could go for it back then.
Could you imagine if they like did another Demolition Man or like Lawnmower Man? How boring they would be now.
Oh, they would be terrible.
They would be. Yeah.
It wouldn't work at all. The next movie on my list is No Tears for the Dead. And this movie is also just boring.
I don't know what it is.
It's a Korean movie.
Okay.
Basically, it's about a hitman who's on a mission, and he gets like spooked, or like he hears a noise, and he shoots through a door, and he opens the door, and he's shot a little girl, so now he feels bad. And then, and he's sort of screwed up the mission he was on. So to tie up loose ends, his bosses assign him to go kill the mother of the little girl he shot. Just like, you idiots! He's already having moral struggles with this, and you tell him to... Oh, you fucking idiots. He's gonna murder all of you now. But, like, the movie never actually makes you care about any of the characters. It's just dull. Like, it could have been really good, but the writing just wasn't there.
Fair enough.
Like, there's some action. Next on my list is The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, but Jamie Foxx though.
He's terrible.
I know.
He's so bad. It's the worst stereotypical nerd character I've seen in years. It's awful. Best part of this movie is the ghost of Dennis Leary silently judging Peter Parker. Like, Ghost Dennis Leary just shows up, has no lines in the whole movie, and is just like frowning at him. It's like,
What about taking an amazing actor like Paul Giamatti and reducing him to nothing?
yeah, he's a rhino at the end of the movie.
So
"Ah,
stupid.
I'm a rhino. Come on, they're totally gonna make that Sinister Six movie, and then he'll get his chance to shine, right?
Yeah.
Never make it.
No. I kind of hope not anyway.
Well, now that Spider-Man's gonna be in the Avengers, I really assume all their actual plans they're going to be thrown out for whatever Marvel wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm only okay with that because Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucked. It's just lame. And I kind of liked the romance, but everything else was terrible.
I like the
Like I
first
thought those
Amazing
two had
Spider-Man.
chemistry. Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay. That is way more than can be said about Spider-Man for a long time for me. So,
It's a really good Spider-Man cartoon. It's the Spectacular Spider-Man. It was really good. That was the thing.
which one was that?
It was
The 90s one?
No, it's more recent than that, but
More
it's not
recent.
the current one. It was one of the producers on it was Greg Weisman, who did Gargoyles back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember that show, Gargoyles. I never really got into it myself. Oh, it's this one, the one I never watched.
Yeah, that show was actually really good. That was a good Spider-Man cartoon. It was
it?
really smart. Yep.
Okay. I didn't like the animation style myself, but I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I mean, it had good plot structure. It was well written. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, see, Wayward knows where it's at. The 90s Spider-Man cartoon. I fucking loved it.
I loved it at the time.
Oh, yeah, I don't dare go back to watch it.
It's like the animation studio they had working on that. I don't know what they were. It's like the frame rate like drops in that show.
They had the 3D
Weird.
rendered, like, opening of the city, like, as if you were swinging through it. And then the Spider-Man song.
Yeah.
It was so dumb.
I've read there were really good interviews with the head story guy on that show. There's out there about how his favorite version of Spider-Man was the Japanese show where Spider-Man had a robot. So that was the only good version of Spider-Man. Besides the comics, it's the only one that got it right. That Spider-Man show is also like the thing that started Power Rangers.
I could
Like
see it,
that
yeah.
was the progenitor of it.
I could see the connection for sure.
The next movie on my list was Monuments Men. This was a movie that has a really good cast and does nothing with them. Like, it's mostly just a collection of scenes. It would be way more interesting just to see these actors like sit around a table and talk to each other. Like, that would have been preferable because this movie does nothing with them.
Yeah.
It's just another like boring movie that comes from nothing and goes to nowhere, which is disappointing because a lot of good actors in this movie, like a stacked cast.
It made its money back, if that's worth anything, by the looks
Not
of
really.
it. It was 70,000, and it ended up grossing 70 million, and it ended up grossing 78 million in the USA alone. So at least it made its money back.
I don't know where they spent that money in that movie.
Set design, maybe. Like, I don't know.
Costumes. World War II costumes.
Well, I mean, honestly, just having the names in there, their salaries. It was probably a pretty...
I guess maybe they got paid in that movie. A lot of those like more serious movies, the actors end up working for scale. So I don't. Maybe they got paid for this one.
Well, I mean, George Clooney was, like, the dude who directed it, too.
Yeah,
So-
that was what really disappointed me. I've liked other George Clooney movies he's directed.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Good Night and Good Luck.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I never saw Up in the Air. I hear it's good.
Up in the Air is great.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's depressing, but it's great.
Life is depressing sometimes. So,
Yep. Cold Comes the Night is next.
okay.
So you know Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I do.
You know the main actor in that movie. What's his face?
Oh, holy shit, what is his name? Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. Holy shit, what's his name? Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
So how would you like a movie where Bryan Cranston does a hilarious Russian accent the whole movie?
It would probably be like that episode of Malcolm in the Middle where he was pretending to be Russian or something.
Yeah, he's a blind assassin who's Russian for no reason.
That sounds terrible.
It's really bad.
That sounds
I don't
real
know
bad.
why he's Russian. There's like no reason in the plot for him to be Russian either. It's
Great.
just like, nah, I'm. And the thing is, that's kind of the only thing that makes the movie watchable. Like the movie's really bad if he weren't in there doing that, making you laugh by doing that Russian accent.
Oh man.
Because mostly he's just like he's just holding this woman hostage and nothing happens. Also, I'm gonna spoil this movie because it's fucked and no one should watch it. And if they do, they shouldn't care about the story. Is he dies before the end? So you're like, wait, he's dead. Why is this movie still going? It's like, why do they keep making movies with Bryan Cranston dying before the end of the movie?
That, if you continue with that thought right there, that's a spoiler for a good movie. Or at least a half good movie.
This is not. Wait, what?
Because you said, why do they keep making movies where he
Yes.
died? That's a
I know.
spoiler for... And then I said half
That movie
good
was
movie.
okay.
It's half
That
good.
movie was. I don't even know if it's half good. Like that's not half the movie that's good. It's like a section of the movie.
Like, let me be clear. There are parts of it that are spectacular, but as a full movie, there's certain
Yes.
parts that if you cut them out, and like, if you took half a movie and different parts out and then put it together, it would be an efficient, cohesive, amazing film experience. But there's a lot of weird padding and filler parts that I don't agree with for...
Also, where they frame parts of it.
Why did they close the door when he's about to do something cool? That was... Oh
Why
my...
is- Why is so much of it on TV?
It's so irritating. I'm getting mad just thinking about it, but but the
Yeah.
parts that got it.
They got it.
There's one specific part
so
that
frustrating.
got it. But like, yeah.
Got it. But it's so frustrating overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's stop talking about a movie we're not talking about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
have you heard of The Room?
Wiseau? Tommy Wiseau is with the
Yes, Tommy Wiseau's magnum opus.
Room? Yeah, I have.
Have you watched it?
Well, I mean, yes, but it was on my second monitor while I played a game because why would you pay attention to that movie? Like, it's really bad.
Because you show up to a live audience and
Oh,
people
no, I've never
say
done that.
things. That's the only way I've watched it.
Okay.
It's really fun. So one of the times to see a screening, I went there and Tommy Wiseau was there with his pilot for his comedy show,
Oh.
The Neighbors.
Oh, no.
It's amazing. He made a comedy that's so bad it's good. It's awful, but it's amazing.
Like, the thing is, he can't do anything else, right? He can't do anything that's, like, so awful it's awful or, like, good at all.
There's a dude wearing Tommy Wiseau branded underwear in this thing.
Oh, dude, I have seen him talk in interviews about this show. You don't have to tell me about the underwear. I haven't seen it, but man.
It was spectacular. The audience was so stunned at what we had witnessed that like they were really laid back for watching The Room afterwards compared to what the audience is usually like. Like we were traumatized.
Jesus.
It's fucking incredible. It's
Is it
incredible.
worth
It's
seeing?
awful.
Like,
Yes.
It is?
This
Okay.
is worth seeing. It's
okay.
it's terrible, but it's worth seeing. It's a I didn't know you could make a so bad it's good comedy. I didn't know you could make a comedy that was so awful it went around to kind of being funny again. I didn't know it was possible. I was proved wrong.
Like, a comedy, sure. because I was going to say, like, a drama he's proved, obviously.
Yes, he proved drama.
So now we need him to prove action. And then we've gone
Action,
full
I feel
circle.
like...
Yeah, I mean,
action is
you
well
definitely could,
established.
but you need Tommy Wiseau to really bring it home, I think.
Also, the best part was him coming out before it and telling you about how you need to like go on and petition CBS to pick it up as a pilot. It's like, dude, there's no way this would ever get picked up.
You know what? You know what fascinates me about that human being is I can't tell just for like there was one night where I was just like I watched, I think Nostalgia Critic did like a thing on The Room, and then after that I was like, I need to watch this guy, like interviews with this guy and see what he's like. So I just spent a whole lot of time looking up just like random blogs that got him to like say some stuff for them or like all this shit. I can't tell if he knows why he's famous or if he legitimately this is the thing, is that he knows he's a joke, but he doesn't know why, I think. And it's amazing. Like, he thinks he's actually doing good, but I don't know. It's so crazy. He is the most aloof human being I have ever seen. You can't criticize him because he thinks your criticism means he's actually succeeding. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. It's crazy. I kind of love him.
Kind of. Like, I kind of get the sense that he resents that people think he's a joke, but he's just like barreling through. He's just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, like deep down, he probably cries in his pillow, but he still owns it in a way I can really respect.
Well, he made money from it, so
there is that. Yeah,
turned into money-making endeavor, but that pilot was never gonna get picked up. Like that, he was petitioning like that was an actual pilot.
Okay.
Oh.
I need to see it.
It has the angriest stoner I've ever seen in anything. Like, you put a stoner character in, and the dude is just pissed off all the time.
Why?
And angry and aggressive.
That's not a stoner character at all. Oh, man. It's so good.
All right. Next was Lucy.
Oh, I'm disappointed that that's even on here because I want to see it.
So, you want to see a person become less and less and less engaging throughout a movie.
No, I just want to see Scarlett Johansson for 2 hours.
Yeah, she becomes more and more like a robot. And just...
I can get done with
really
robots.
Boring. It becomes really boring.
It becomes boring.
It's really pretentious.
Okay.
It's really pretentious.
The thing is, it's Luc Besson or whatever, and that dude does good shit. Or has done good shit.
The thing about Luc Besson is it's like hard to tell what involvement he has with movies because he's like a production studio unto himself. Like, the dude is involved with so many movies that I don't know what to trust is actually him doing it.
Well, I mean, the one I always think of is Leon the Professional. Or just The Professional.
Leon the Professional is a great movie.
It is. And I'm pretty sure that is like his calling card movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's true.
Like, other than that, it's kind of hit or miss, depending.
There's a lot of stuff with his name to attach to it.
There is.
A lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I hated Lucy. Like, it was... Like, it wanted to be, like, 2001. Like, it wanted to, like, move you and be about progress of human civilization or... Oh, it's
really?
Fucking terrible.
It went that far with it? Oh,
It like, builds the monolith. It's terrible. It's so self-serious. And Scarlett Johansson is, like, all her acting goes away because that's the character she's playing. Like, forgets how to be a human being.
I was kind of hoping it would be almost like Salt or something. I don't know.
I've heard Under the Skin is the movie if you want to see Scarlett Johansson be weird, where she's like an alien possessing someone.
You're right. I have heard that too. I should check that one out.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Next on the list is Night Moves. The movie that made me go, why do I watch movies? Why
Wow.
are movies a thing I watch? So
That
this movie
bad?
has Jesse Eisenberg in it.
That dude's okay.
This movie is awful. And like about sort of, I don't even know. Like it's about a group of people who get together and decide they're like super environmentalists and they get decide they're going to blow up a dam because that'll make a difference.
Okay.
And they're like kind of good scenes where they're just like sitting around doing nothing and it's sort of engaging. But like when the movie then has to do something, because you're a movie, you have to do something eventually. It's terrible. It's like he's awful. There's like a movie. There's like a scene where he strangles a girl in a sauna, and you don't really know why he did it.
I was
It
gonna
just
say,
happened.
is there a reason or
Not really.
okay?
He just goes crazy, and then I think at the end he gets a job at a sporting goods store or something.
Okay.
Like he doesn't get punished or anything. It just ugh. Why? This is like yeah. That movie made me question why I watched movies. We are the best. We affirmed why I go watch movies, but Night Moves was awful. And the last movie on my list is Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas, which is barely a movie. Like calling it a movie is generous.
I had to look it up. It's an episode of something, right? Like, what is this?
It's a movie, sort of, but it's mostly just two dudes talking in a car about nonsense.
Okay.
Like it's a religious movie.
Ew.
But it's talking to it's not like it's talking to religious people like this is how you convince the asshole who's saying Christmas who's being a poo poo on Christmas, like convince him in the greatness of Christmas. Like it's all about the greatness of commercialism and like buying stuff.
Christmas.
Yeah. It's like coming up with ridiculous excuses for why all the bullshit that's attached to Christmas is totally part of the Bible.
And how long is it?
It's like a whole movie. It was in theaters.
Really?
I went in theaters. Yeah.
Wow.
I went to see it because I knew it would be terrible, but it was way more boring than I was. I was hoping it would be more entertainingly bad. And it's like, yeah, the dude, and it ends with like a breakdancing party where it's all the people in it are just dancing for really long. Like it's padded out to hell. Like it's not that long, but it's padded. It has a really offensive racist black stereotype who's kind of gay, I guess. He's feminine. You're like, wow, this is really racist. Apparently I didn't stay past the credits, but apparently past the credits there are like outtakes, and it's all like Kirk Cameron berating the black guy about not being sassy enough.
Oh God.
It's awful. It's like if you want to see nonsense, like
That's the one to see.
Christian constructing bullshit. Oh, it's awful.
It's not at all what I want to see. That sounds like the worst.
It's kind of the worst. The only reason it's not like the worst movie I've ever seen is there are movies I hate more than it.
Okay.
But like from a filmmaking's perspective, wow.
It's pretty bad.
There's a scene where two characters are like holding up coffee cups so that they can ADR in their dialogue, and they're like just sitting there for a really long time with coffee cups above their faces, clearly not talking, while they ADR in stuff really poorly. It's incredibly bad. It's incredibly bad.
That's why it's the top, right, of this list.
That's why it's the worst movie I saw of the year.
I still can't believe Lucy's so high too.
Oh, I hated Lucy. That was hate.
Even
hate
more
there.
than Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, I didn't hate that much.
It was just not good.
I knew what I was getting into.
Mm.
I knew it was like one of those like this movie's gonna be bad. It's gonna be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see this mess.
Oh, okay.
Which was kind of like Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas is just that fucking awful.
It's even
It's
more of a mess.
it's like calling it a movie is insulting movies. It's one of those.
Ugh. I'm so glad I hadn't heard of it, and now I'm mad that I have. It sounds so
Yeah, I heard
bad.
of it from the 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 website The Cinema Snob. They do like midnight screenings where they watch movies and then talk about them in like a car, having like two people have a conversation about the movie after they see it,
Mhm.
and they were talking about that movie a lot. It's like I
Okay.
have to see this piece of shit. That's why I went to see it.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
So we should move on. We'll start our little wrap up here. Um,
Yep.
So I don't know when. Like, I guess I could probably talk about it on TDP, but we should talk about it here because we actually play the game. So
Yep.
Blizzard is officially going to sell gold, kind of. They have
Yeah.
these WoW tokens now, which is basically like if you have a lot of gold, you can buy a WoW token, which you can buy a subscription with for like the next couple months or whatever. Or the other way around, you can buy a token and exchange it for a whole bunch of gold using the auction house and prices they set. So I think what they're trying to do is, I think there's a few things they're trying to do with this. First of all, obviously the big one, gold farmers. They're trying to fuck with them in a big bad way. They're not going to get rid of them, obviously, but they will hurt them in a way that will get rid of a lot of them, probably. Another thing is they have oversaturated their market through 10 years of gameplay and like making things weirdly expensive sometimes or making things weirdly cheap and letting people do some things with the auction house. Their economy is kind of getting a little fucky here and there. This will take a lot of the gold out of the economy in the World of Warcraft because people with a lot of it will, there won't be basically your billionaires anymore. If you were to think real world money, they will just be like maybe millionaires now or like thousand heirs or something, whatever the real world equivalent would be. Or the opposite way, people that have more money than they have time and just kind of want to like play around and not have to worry about getting money for gold or gold for like skill ups or whatever they have to do will be able to get stuff too. So they're trying to balance things out a little bit. But I don't know. I think it's about time. They definitely, it's been proven this can work with EVE Online. EVE Online has kind of a similar thing going for it, so I think it's a good thing. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, buying gold for money is a thing in WoW. Like there are people who do it. So making it safer for people who are gonna do it anyway is good for one thing. I also think it's cool that people who have too much gold can just buy game time. Like I think that's kind of the more interesting part of it to me, because this was obviously a thing they've been building to. Like they've clearly been thinking about this for a while. I
Yeah.
feel like they should have done it before now, but
Yeah.
just because people have been buying gold, like there's gold in that economy with this stuff people bought. So
Sure.
I think they figured out a good way to do it, though.
It also reminds me of, do you remember when Xbox Live came out and there was like gamer score and they're like, eventually you'll be able to do stuff with that gamer score and like redeem it for like coupons for 10% off a game or maybe for like a couple bucks or something. And then it kind of never really did that. This kind of feels like WoW is doing it now where it's like, oh shit, son, you got like 500,000 gold. Why don't you just pay for more subscription time with that or something? Like, it's kind of like gold is their in-game points and you can actually use it now for real world things to keep your playing and stuff. It's kind of a cool thing. So I'm glad they
What?
went in the
Yeah.
direction.
I think it's cool that, like, the amount that the game time things are going to sell in the auction house is totally going to be determined by the demand. Like, there's no... It's only selling them on the auction house. It's like up to the market to decide what these things are going to be worth in terms of gold. So that's sort of interesting to me. Like, I don't
From
know
what
they're
I
gonna-
read,
how
though,
much they're gonna
Blizzard
sell
will
to.
have a hand in that. They will cap it.
Yeah,
as,
that makes sense.
Yeah, because it will get to the point where it'll just be like I mean, you've been on the auction house. It'll be like anything that's worth value. It's stupid pricey, and only the crazy people buy them. And that's kind of going against what I think Blizzard wants to do with it. So I'm glad that they'll be having more of a hand in that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't grab anything else. Yeah. That was like the big talking point because that happened today and it was fresh in my mind for me. So.
Yeah, I was looking at news. That was the only story I saw.
Yeah. So
I saw a trailer for Heroes of the Storm that showed a Jaina skin. That's not in the game yet.
What's the skin?
I don't even remember what they called it. She had like black hair. It was like I don't even remember.
I'll look it up.
But yeah, new Jaina skin is coming, and there was another skin that I don't even remember either.
Is it
Fall? It was there was
Santa
a Zerg.
Oh.
Zerg Zeratul. Zerg Hunter Zeratul, who looked really cool.
That sounds pretty cool. Does he look like that, what's his name, the Croc Hunter? Does he have a hat and talk with an accent? The Crocodile Hunter?
No, more it's like a bigger jaw with like big, sharp triangle teeth.
Oh.
And like a bigger, pointy head.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
He looks sort of more monstrous.
Okay. That's kind of weird for a Zeratul. Was it Zeratul you said? With the skin?
Yep.
He looks more like a monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zeratul Zerg Hunter.
I think it's something you brought up when we started like playing it. Well, like when they went to beta and we were playing a little bit, how the weird thing with the skins in Heroes of the Storm is that they don't even care about keeping the look or silhouette of the original character. They will just go crazy with, like, the Infested Tychus is a completely new character, essentially. It looks completely different, basically. So,
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Like, they don't care about preserving the silhouette in the way that if you really cared about character design for games, you probably should.
Right. But I think their
cool.
school of design has always been, we have a whole bunch of really good artists. Let's just use some of this shit.
Yeah. And also, if you're going to charge that much for a skin, you want to make people feel like they're getting something crazy.
It's like an original artwork or something that you can play with in your game, basically.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. I like it.
Yep. It's a way to put their artists to work.
For sure. Should we move on to... Well, we'll wrap up now. We have have one voicemail, some Twitter stuff, mainly Marshmallow because he's a piece of shit.
Nice.
Let's just start off with... I want to hear what this voicemail is. It's been kind of in the back of my mind all day, so...
All right.
Let's see what happens here.
Sorry guys, I gotta yell. Ben's mixtape is on in the background. I can barely hear myself thinking here. It's so fire.
Ben died later that night, devoured by the heat of his own mixtape. Dr. Athius left his remaining debts to Mr. Marshmallow, stating in his will, "Grind this."
Dr. Athius.
That's amazing.
Okay, well, that's Peter there. So, good job. You got me. I was holding it together, just trying to figure out what was going on, and it's just like, I think it was when he burned alive from the heat of his own mixtape or whatever, the fire from his own mixtape. That's what got me. All right. So Marshmallow writes in, which one of you is sexier? Tell me who and why. That's a weird question. I'll say Hank. Badass Marshmallow. There you go. This got weird. Sorry, I'm just trying to read this question. It's real long. It was actually 5 tweets all put together.
Great.
So, first of all, Marshmallow, twit longer. Start fucking using it. You piece of shit. Okay. I recently played Advance Wars Day of Ruin again. So far, it is better than I remember, because I think a lot of the disappointment I had in the game was because I was so used to the mechanics of Dual Strike in the first two. Are there any games that you have had to go back to after a while to appreciate them? What are some examples? Any you thinking of going back to see if maybe your taste has changed? I like maybe XCOM, because I don't mind the style, like the tactics style, but for some reason it never clicked with me mechanically with XCOM, and I don't know why. So I would go back to see that if maybe my tastes have changed in that a little bit.
I mean, I had to stop playing Mass Effect, the original Mass Effect, at some time because I hated the Mako tank so much. But that was just like, I had to stop. I hated that game for a while, but then I went back and I finished it, and I'm like, okay, I like it. I like the story enough and I liked enough of the gameplay that I got over it, but I fucking hated that part, and I was stuck on it. Like, I kept dying.
It was weird because
I remember Ice World.
I remember when that came out, and I loved doing the side, like visiting all the planets with the Mako just to see if there was anything new. Like, it was just exploring, but I would never, ever do that again. That had its time and place back. It was barely okay back then as just like an activity to do while listening to a podcast or a show in the background. I could never do it again. It was boring as fuck. So
yeah, they never put anything on any of those planets.
They put like an artifact, but the artifact wouldn't be an actual thing. It would be like a codex entry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, I kind of like going back to the tank controls from old PS1 days. Like, I don't usually have a problem with them. That being said, going back to them after playing new games is really hard. So, like, if I play anything really that comes out these days and then go back and try to play Resident Evil 1, it'll take me a run or two to actually feel okay with the controls again, and then I can play whatever. So that's one of the situations where I don't need an old appreciation for the old way, but I do need to kind of get back into it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd also say Resident Evil is a game that I didn't appreciate in the day that I totally appreciate now for what it does. Like, I like a lot of the design in those games now that I would have avoided those games for multiple reasons back in the day, but I really appreciate how they're built now.
Well, I mean, it was a necessity, right? Because what I liked about Resident Evil back in the day, and still do, is that it took the problem that people didn't figure out about 3D space yet when they were first doing like actual 3D space. So it took the issues of those types of games moving around in a 3D environment and put in static camera angles, not necessarily just for like suspension and stuff, but also it gets rid of the problems people had with trying to navigate in 3D in a kind of clunky world. And the tank controls are a direct result of you need to have kind of like knowing that pushing up will always make you go forward, and having like a solid base of understanding on how you're mechanically moving around this 3D environment is how you had to do it. So I thought that for the problems they faced making that game back in the day, they actually did a really good job of like making it accessible in a way that was fun, I guess. I don't know, not fun, but like you could actually play with it. Whereas playing with like free cameras where you can turn stuff around and stuff back in the day, a lot of the N64 games specifically, fucking terrible. Like, they don't hold up at all. Whereas at least Resident Evil mechanically still holds up if you can get around the tank control thing.
Yeah, like trying to play the remastered with the new controls, it becomes pretty clear pretty quickly, like, oh, this is why these controls are bad for this game. Like, it doesn't work when you're switching screens. You're all disoriented, whereas the tank controls, it becomes easy once you figure it out, once you've wrapped your head around those controls.
Yeah, for sure. All right, his next question. What RPG series do you think has the coolest monsters? What fighting game series has the coolest fighters?
Pokemon has the coolest monsters.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is the only series that I care about all the monsters.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah, the whole point of the thing is caring about the monsters, and they did a good job.
Sure. I can actually agree with that, so I'll use that answer as well. Fighting game, I really like the Soul Calibur games a lot. I don't know if they have the coolest characters, but I like that each character has a different weapon, and they all have, like, it's a weapon fighting game.
I think Tekken has the coolest characters. Because
Tekken
Tekken, you can just put anything in there, and it works.
Tekken has some
I
batshit
like
crazy characters.
Their disregard for having, like, human fighters. Like, no, we're going to have the kangaroo, boxing gloves. We're going to have a bear. Yeah, we're going to have ogre. We're going to have true ogre. We're going to put Gon in Tekken 3.
True ogre. Good. God damn it. Fire breath. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's some cool fighters in that. I like Mortal Kombat from back in the day, too. I always thought that they added some cool stuff here and there. Like humanoid characters, if that was a thing. Coolest fighting game is Smash Bros. It's okay.
I'm just going to go with Pokken. The Pokemon game.
I want to play it. I do. I really do.
Yeah. Like, Tekken hasn't been relevant for a while. I'd like a Tekken game to be relevant. Like, I think that's an interesting fighting system. It'd be cool if they made a cool game about it again instead of getting on the butts with story mode or trying to make a beat 'em up stuff.
Yeah. Obligatory Street Fighter call out. I thought what they did for just, like, normal dudes, like a worldwide thing, that was cool.
Street Fighter 2 in its day did a really good job of creating a cast of characters.
Yeah, for sure. And his last comment, can we have a moment of silence for Nathan? No, because he is not dead. He will be back at some point. He is not gone forever. Like, calm down. Jesus Christ.
Well, Nathan.
What's that?
I said long live Nathan.
Long live Nathan. Rip Zor.
Rip Zor.
Okay, last question here from Mr. Toy. Any reboot of a game or show that made you want to watch the original content, even if you have or haven't watched it earlier? Your preferences towards certain game or genres of shows, including anime cartoons, have changed drastically. An example: before I had a preference to watch ecchi anime. Example: To Love Ru. Ecchi, okay. But now I'm more into comedy. The reason was I got kind of bored of it, and the comedy genre gives me now that fun that the ecchi once gave me. I'm trying to parse this question in my head a little bit more.
I'm just going to give... What comes to my head is not a game or a show, but it was a comic book retelling of an arc of Astro Boy as a gritty detective story.
Okay.
By Naoki Urasawa, who also wrote the manga Monster. It's really good. He's kind of my favorite mangaka. So it's just really... And I'd never sort of been interested in the Astro Boy stuff until I read that. And now I've been tracking down lots of stuff written by Tezuka.
Okay, cool.
Pluto is a really good series.
I don't know what that is. Sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
It's a comic book retelling of Astro Boy as a mystery story.
Okay.
About, like, focusing on a minor character.
And a reboot of a game or show that made you want to watch the original. Like, for the first time? Because I watched Sailor Moon Crystal and that made me just want to watch the old one again. So, like, I don't think that's in the right, like, vein of what he's asking for. So I'm not going to count that. Did you ever watch that? I don't know what it was called. That newer Pokemon that, like, focused on Red, and it was, like, more akin to, like, the games, basically, like his progression.
I think that was just a couple episodes special.
It was like 6 episodes or something.
Yeah,
that was
I watched
cool.
It.
I want more of that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
Was it Mewtwo in there too? Like the last
Yeah,
episode?
the end.
Yeah.
And then it became an ad for why, because Charizard goes Mega.
Yeah, but dude, Mewtwo was so cool in that episode. He was just like destroying. Like that's how it should be. That's how. Yeah, that's right.
They shouldn't make Mewtwo talk and have him whine about being a clone.
Yeah.
That's not as interesting.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
I can't think of stuff, because usually if I like a reboot, then I just like the reboot, or I'm already aware of the original.
Yeah, that's kind
stuff.
of my thing too.
It's like I don't know.
Like, what's some stuff that even got rebooted recently that I could even think about? Because a lot of shit did, but
Yeah.
I think the reason why I even buy reboots of stuff is because I liked the first one. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
that's actually a hard question.
I can't think of any. I can't even think of game reboots.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that I care about, at least.
I liked The Grudge, and it made me go back and watch Ju-on The Grudge. And then that didn't exactly get me into watching a whole bunch of Japanese horror, but it was probably like number 2 in the lineup that did. Like back when that happened. I think Ringu was the first one that I wanted to watch that before it came out, and like the American version came out. So it kind of got me watching a whole lot of Japanese horror back in that day. That's probably my answer. I'm going to stick with that.
All
All right. So that'll do it.
Cool.
So how do you feel? How was the first showing?
That was fun.
Easy, right?
Got through all the stuff.
We did get through all this stuff, which is kind of amazing, but also I had like nothing. So
Yeah.
it helped a lot. Yeah. All right. Well, if people want to write in or anything, you can do so at podcast@burningbarrel.co. You can do it on Twitter at @burningbarrel. So stupid. It's just a burning barrel, and then the picture is a burning barrel. It's so stupid. On Facebook, you actually have to look up Pixel Response because it won't let me change the name unless I have a business license signed. I need a signed government business license to change the name of the entertainment organization on Facebook. It's kind of amazing that they require that. I needed less to get a press thing for PAX and E3 than I need to change a goddamn name on Facebook. So
Facebook is serious business, yo.
it is serious business.
That's why I don't use Facebook. It's too much
dude.
about businesses.
Yeah. Oh god, yes. There's so much business there. I think there's a subreddit somewhere. I can't remember what that is. I'm sure it's like Burning Barrel or something stupid like that. More importantly, there's stuff on burningbarrel.co because Hank has actually been writing stuff for it as I've been kind of away. I don't know. Like, I've been here. I just haven't really been wanting to write anything. But for podcasts and all that stuff, you can go to podcast.burningbarrel.co. All that stuff will be up there. And I think that's it. Any closing thoughts?
Nope. This was fun.
Yeah. We'll
should
do it again next week. Probably. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.